I'm going to call the meeting to order. Clerk Rougeau, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember King.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilcoxon is here on Zoom, so technically absent. Mayor Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Fellows.
Present.
Councilmember Tucson.
Present.
Member Simmons.
Here.
And Councilmember McLean is absent. We have a quorum.
Yeah. All right. Can I have a motion to excuse our council members? He did tell us ahead of time that he would be traveling. And I mean, Steve is on Zoom. He's ill.
Support.
Move.
Yeah, support.
It's been moved by Councilmember Simmons, supported by Councilmember Tucson. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion for agenda approval.
So move.
Been moved by Councilmember Tucson.
Support.
Supported by Councilmember King. I did have one item because Mayor Pro Tem let me know he was ill and Councilmember McLean is absent. We wouldn't be able to officially appoint one of them to our Water Street Ad Hoc Committee because they have to be here to be able to vote on it and to accept the appointment. So I'm wondering if we can move this to the next meeting. I talked to Katie, I talked to the city manager. That should not delay the initial meeting that is to be scheduled at the end of the month because our next meeting is on the 17th.
I'm sorry. You're saying for the. You're
For
saying
letter
for the
F.
support. Oh, only for that one.
Yeah, just F because it has the requirement of council members from each ward to be present, to be appointed, and neither of them are here to actually be in the
Oh, I
competition to be
see.
appointed.
I don't know if they have to be here to be appointed, but I recognize that I don't know if Councilmember Wilcoxon knows if McLean was trying to weigh in on this or not.
We talked earlier, and this was what Mayor Pro Tem also wanted to do so they could be a part of the conversation. When he told me that he was sick, he called to let me know he wouldn't be here. And so if we have both Ward 2 members not able to discuss, I mean, I'm just putting it out there based on our conversation that I talked to the city manager and Katie about it.
Well, I guess, what do you mean? I guess, what does that mean? Not able to discuss?
Because
If
Patrick
they don't
is-
have to be here to be appointed. I wasn't sure about that process.
Well, I didn't even know if Steve would be here or not, so I guess he can weigh in on if he wants to continue with what we discussed earlier. He wasn't sure if he'd even be present at the time, so we wouldn't have had anybody to discuss. He's here now, but he's not able to vote, so if he wants to be the person and accept it, then we can move forward. Mayor Pro Tem?
Hi. Yeah, I would be able to be that person. I'd also wanted to have Patrick weigh in on the members as well, but I would take the nomination and do that.
Councilmember King?
Well, do we know if Patrick is interested? I think that's the one thing that we wanted to know. And I also remember at the last meeting how Patrick really wanted to move this along. So I guess I do. If we can vote on it tonight, I would like to.
I'm bringing this forward because there's a request that was made. So if Mayor Pro Tem wants to be the person, then that just means that Patrick wouldn't have an opportunity to be it, basically.
Do we know if he wants to be?
I don't know.
I think we're in agreement that I would be the rep for Ward 2. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Okay, then never mind. We'll move forward. All right, any other changes to the agenda? All right, seeing none, all in favor of the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Or any opposed? All right, this is our opportunity for public comment. Members of the audience will have 3 minutes to address council for 60 minutes. I will start with those who are signed up in person for the first 10 speakers, and then we will move to Zoom for the next 10 and alternate until that 60 minutes has been expended. When I call your name, if you could approach the podium if you're able, state your name and address for the record if you feel comfortable, and we will move through. Can't wait to hear from you. The first person, Sarah McKinney. Oh yeah. Good evening. If you want to. but if you could state your name for the record for sure.
Sarah McKinney. I live at 40 North Huron Street, just down the street from here. I'm the special project coordinator at the Ypsilanti Senior Center. And I wanted to thank Mayor Brown and all the council members who showed up on Friday for our grand reopening party. Let's see. It was a wonderful event and all the people, when there were over 133 people in attendance. Lots of free food, line dancing, a comedian, an appointed section to get your picture taken, 8 applications for membership, 5 applications for our senior meal program, and just a real good time had by everyone. Our center received much recognition and is better known now to the community. We have received many phone calls of people requesting info for renting and just general information about our center and application forms for membership. I wanted again to thank the council for its support by showing up for our grand reopening, and I look forward to having a better relationship with you and with the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Gross. Good evening. Hi, good, how are you?
My name's Steve Gross, Ypsilanti resident, homeowner, business owner, and a very involved Depot Town volunteer since the mid-1970s when Depot Town was about 50% boarded up. Prior to and including the very first Heritage Festival on through the Depot Town tree lighting, and currently I'm on the committee for the 2026 4th of July Parade. This is to express my concern on the negative impact of the parking meters in Depot Town, and I'll keep it brief. Meters were installed on the recommendation of the 2022 parking study, follow-up to the 2019 parking study. It has not in the least had any of the anticipated results. Depot Town businesses hate the parking meters. Ypsilanti residents hate the parking meters. And possibly most importantly, visitors to our city hate the parking meters. We hear it almost every day, literally. You don't have to take my word for it. Come on down and ask around yourselves. This city council should be doing all it can to support, not hinder, local businesses and to make Ypsi as welcoming and as inviting as possible to all. One of the comments that I hear all the time is, well, it seems to me that if you want people to frequent the block here or your city, they'd get rid of the parking meters. We're not Royal Oak, we're not Birmingham. Parking meters do exactly the opposite, and I speak for the majority when I ask in the name of a more attractive and appealing Depot Town and city of Ypsilanti, which I remind you, Depot Town was named in 2018 one of the 15 great places in America by the American Planning Association, that the parking meters please be removed. It's one small block. It does hinder business. It's tough enough out there. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. Ricky Jefferson. Good evening.
Mayor, council members. I'm Ricky Jefferson, reside in Ypsilanti Township. I have been in Ypsilanti since 2014. I was born in 1958. But anyway, I'm here to actually say that the closing and the locking up of dispensary that had yes, allegations and those things about children being lured to packages and those type of things that could actually have THC in them. Applaud that. And the reason I did that, because you have to understand, when I was a city councilman here, my first month in December was to vote on the medical marijuana resolution, which had 14 in a 4 square mile radius proposed 7 grow facilities and 7 dispensaries. So I shut it down to 6. I got support from the rest of the council, and the one slipped in that's on Huron Street. It had 45 days to be able to get the application finalized, and they got it in on 44th day. Glad to see them closing. I'm be glad when you get rid of that wreck that's down there. But I have seen the one on First Avenue and Michigan Avenue. be not patronized by anyone. And I'm told that they're doing this on online. If that's so, I don't know why they need the actual building. But anyways, that's something that when the proposal to get more than 7 was brought up, several of us, myself and a couple people from the community who did not want them anywhere in Ypsilanti, but we know we had to do them, wanted to stop that. But I guess that didn't really turn out well because some of them not making as much profit as they want to. And you're going to have more problems. There were problems that I used to bring up to the last chief, and I'm congratulating the chief for doing that, because that chief wouldn't listen to anything that we said. See, these deals didn't come from me. They came from the people who I talk to every day in my community who said that they don't want things in this community. And then we get people who come here from outside of our community and try to tell us what we need in our community. Yeah, we need policing because that's what they're asking for. We need to have people that can come into our community, that can talk to us and listen to us when we say we understand what's going on because we're connected to the people who have grown up here and their children and their grandchildren. So it's definitely not to police to hurt them, but to police to understand that we do need that type of presence in our community, and that this closing of this marijuana place that's been patronized by our youth and our young men, those who come from out of town don't go to that one down there. So, it's like they wouldn't come to the south side either.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Those are the names I had signed up ahead of time. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address council? Please go. Good evening.
How y'all doing? Deron Weatherspoon Senior, Ypsilanti resident, business owner. I just wanted to, of course, tell y'all thank y'all for the amazing work that y'all doing to represent our city. And I just wanted to let y'all know that our partnership with the Racial Equity Office was successful. Today we had our first MSSI truck. We had it now as a cooler offering human resource advocacy and connection to anybody needing vital documents, employment, housing issues. We would love to see how we can get some help with the parking right there. So maybe it won't be so much static. The truck is 40 feet. The 2 parking meters right there in front of my establishment. It's a good space. I just want to see how it'll be here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 4 to 7 p.m. I want to see how we can kind of like to make maybe have the cones there or something without trying to like take away the space of the patrons, but just kind of know it is for the general, for the community. So see if we can make sure we get some help with the city with that. But I'm excited to let y'all know that my youth program will be starting their spring session for canvassing. So if anybody here needs any flyers done or surveys they would like done in any Pacific area, my youth is here ready and they're willing to get it done. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to address council? Oh, all right. Hello. Yes. Good evening. Can you state your name for the record?
Jeremy Haley, Ypsi Township. Didn't know if I was going to be able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
What I want to talk about is the Water Street project and how it should be in line with the development and price range of the average annual income for the people in Ypsi. The reason why I say that is Ypsi Township last time approved a developer's project for like 98 to 100 homes. And the starting price for those homes are like $400 and some thousand, way out of the average annual income for any people from Ypsi to move out of an apartment into a house. And when I presented that to the developer, he said, well, there's people will live there, but maybe not just from Ypsi. He just didn't necessarily say that. That's what I'm talking about. It's in that development. It should be developed in a way not to look for the income from the property taxes, but look for the future where property taxes are no longer going to be in play. And with that idea in mind, that whole development will change in perspective and scope and development. Because property taxes are failing all across the country. People are suing their counties and their governments. Look up the Vexler case in the Texas Supreme Court. He's suing his county on school bond fraud and how the schools in that system use the appraisals of the homes every year to keep raising them to fund themselves. This is happening all across the country. That's why I'm bringing it up. This property tax system we have in play now will no longer exist. And if you develop this project with the property tax in mind, it's going to fail later. Develop it in a way that you're looking for sales tax, because what we're going to have to wind up going to is a uniform state sales tax. Develop it in a sense where with that in mind, and the project will change. Keep the houses where a person with a $60,000 to $80,000 income can buy them. And the developers, when they develop the homes with that idea, you'll get a totally different scope and home. And that's important to keep in mind, because if you don't, you're going to build on property tax. And if that property tax ain't there for you later, you're going to fail. And I'm just asking to look at both, develop one where they want and develop one with this. You'll see there's different scapes and sceneries of everything. You know, where you'd have the interior line and bottom shops on the interior streets with places on top where you can actually generate income. And it's just not all houses, stuff like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else not? Oh, yes, please. Good evening.
Evening. I'm here to
State your name for the record, please.
Lee Tucson. I'm here to support the police chief in any effort to make the city of Ypsilanti a safe place to live and a place to do business. On or about the 16th, a month ago, there was a raid on a drug house in the city of Ypsilanti, right on Washington Street. These are the kind of drugs that was being sold. You see that? You see that? Them the kind of drugs that are being sold in those kind of packages. And guess what? They were being sold to my little children, predominantly Black children, going in there because I'm watching them all the time go in and out. And I sat and wait for various groups to come and do something about that. I waited for the unarmed response folks to come. They never showed up. The social workers, they never showed up. But somebody saw something and they said something. And guess what? The Ypsilanti Police Department came and they bust that facility from what I just showed y'all, these kind of drugs. And you know what really bothers me is that Amber Fellows and Desiree Simmons, that's their ward. That's Ward 3. And for them to tell people that they didn't know nothing about it is completely ludicrous. Ludicrous. That means you don't care nothing about your constituents. You don't care nothing about enough to go down and see what's happening. But when the lights were being threatened to cut down low, they were standing on the corner and Channel 2 News was across the street, because the Bible says man loves darkness because his deeds is what? They are evil. And I am forever going to support what's happening in the city of Ypsilanti with the police chief. And when you all do junk that you ain't got no business doing, I am going to bring it to your attention, because the Bible tells me open rebuke is better than secret love. I ain't going to sit up there and love you like I love you and don't tell you when you're wrong. I'm not going to do that. So for y'all to tell people that you didn't know nothing about it, stop fooling your constituents. Stop going out there begging for votes for your constituents and say, I ain't got time to be no council person for y'all. That's what you need to do. And we got this prosecution coming up. It's going to be left up to the city attorney. It's going to be left up to the county. And it's going to be left up to the city manager to not let that place open again. And if you let the place open again, city manager, city attorney, council, that shows what? Nothing but weakness. And we don't need no weakness in this county. This city of Ypsilanti is what I call Nineveh. Anything you want, you could get in Nineveh.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to address council? Oh, yeah, please go. Good evening.
Hello, city council members. My name's Eric McCleary. I'm an Ypsi resident right on West Michigan. I am here in my responsibility as both Ypsilanti Sustainability Commissioner and as a acting organizer with Clean Water Action. It has come to our attention that this council is considering a moratorium on data centers in our community until we can, one, take a better ecological survey of our surroundings, and two, prepare our local grid for a massive data center in our community. So with that, I'm here to say Clean Water Action applauds your effort to, take that on and present that moratorium. We see that like the scale right now is between 60 days and 12 months. We at Clean Water Action do not believe that 60 days is enough time with the current climate, the energy climate, both in like Ann Arbor as well as like Washtenaw County, as well as things that are going on in Lansing, to really make a fair assessment of where this data center fight in the state is going, to best place Ypsi in a place where we can benefit from any connection to one of those data centers. Us at Clean Water Action, we don't want them. We know there are attacks on our environment. We know there are attacks on our like first affected communities. Here in Ypsi, we at least want you to take the proper time. So thank you all for considering that and keep in that mindset. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Is there anyone? Yes, please come. If you could state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Schlitt. I'm an Ypsilanti resident on North Congress, and I'm also staff water member at Clean Water Action. So we'll be doing a little bit of a repeat here. I'm also here to speak on the upcoming ordinance 1457. Data centers consistently promise economic development opportunities that don't materialize. I know a lot of my Ypsilanti neighbors welcome that thing, but they're false promises, full stop. There are a lot of temporary job gains during construction. And after that, low price jobs that at the expense of the community and a whole lot more. We've seen this time and time again. Other states have done this. We are not the first, and we can see the guinea pigs that have come before us and everything associated with it. Communities pay the higher price energy bills and threats to water quality, neither of which we need in Ypsilanti, not to mention reliability for energy. As to how we got here in the first place, for folks who don't know, DTE and consumers specifically lobbied for huge tax breaks for data centers in Lansing. In order to access a loophole, they also made sure it was included in our clean energy laws. Just really fun stuff all together. And this will drastically increase the baseload need of our already strained and outdated grid, while we get very little to nothing in return. We don't need to help out-of-state tech billionaires and DT make more money, frankly. We deserve better than that. So as a resident, I'm glad to see this 60-day emergency moratorium on new zoning permits on the agenda. I'd encourage the council, as much as you're able, to send this for a full year and require full transparency without any NDAs, full accountability, and a thorough evaluation for any future proposed projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that would like to address council before we move to Zoom?
We do have two hands. Peter Church.
Good evening.
Good evening, City Council. I knew my reps wouldn't be able to come in tonight, and so I wanted to mention something in regard to the proposal for bathrooms for the city in the parks. And I'd like to see something added for Candy Cane Park, which is in Ward 2 and supports the American Little League season every year. They're asking not for bathrooms, but just to have the water turned on so that the drinking fountain would work. I think that'd be a big help to them, and also would be a safety factor to have water available in case of someone getting dehydrated or something and not having enough fluids on hand. I think it'd be a great thing to support, and I'll close that with the last lines of the Little League pledge, which is, I will play fair and strive to win, but win or lose, I will always do my best. I think it's pretty good stuff for adults to live by, and I definitely think we can support the kids with some water in Candy Cane Park. On another subject, I agree that in Depot Town, the parking meters really aren't going to benefit the city enough. I mean, with maximum utilization, I believe they only produce a gross of 60,000 a year. And I don't know how much of that we give away to the management company that operates it. But the fix for the Frog Island lot or any of the other lots around there is several millions. It's just not going to contribute enough in time. So I hope you'd consider the benefits versus the negatives, and not have the parking meters in Depot Town. All right, that's about all. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Then we have KJ.
All right. Good evening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry I can't be with you in person this evening. I am here first and foremost about the data center. The current resolution on the table does not go far enough. I would like to see at least 3 years of information data success from these large-scale data centers before we welcome them into our very small 4.5 approximate square mile community. I do not see a place for data centers in the city of Ypsi ever, and I would like to see robust data from other communities before we include one. I appreciate that you are supporting park bathroom infrastructure, which is vital and needed in our community. Thank you for making that move. Baby, just 1 minute, I'm talking. The police spending last meeting, I would like to bring that up because you spent over $100,000 on vehicles, on the basement, on cameras. It is so painful for me to watch you invest that sort of money in that infrastructure while being told that the things that truly keep us safe, a sheltered, housed, fed, educated, employed community is not our focus. We continue to find money for police, and it is painful. So every time you tell me there's not money and then you buy a new cop car, I don't believe you. Let's see. New council cameras that were discussed at the last meeting. I would rather you get some new Zoom cameras. Personally, I would love to see your faces. I think that focusing on securitizing council chambers is not, again, the way to go with having a robust public engagement that creates healthy communities. I would again like to state my concern about the inaction on Ruben Peeler's case. Drop the charges. I should be hearing it from every single one of you. We need to create accessible work opportunities in Ypsilanti. The opportunity index for the county dropped again today. Please check it out. Take a look. We urgently need more accessible opportunities for the people who live in our community right now. I'd like to know what you're doing to bring realistic jobs for those who live here, that they are able to obtain, that are flexible, that are geared towards our residents, not towards remote jobs like the data center would bring for $200,000 year position that isn't for our local community. Again, sorry I couldn't be there in person. Thank you so much for the bathrooms.
Thank you. Right on time, KJ. All right. Anyone else on?
Nope. Anyone else who'd like to speak, raise your hand.
All right.
All set.
Come back to the audience one more time. Anybody who didn't get a chance to speak who may like to? Audience participation. Thank you all so much. Okay. So the first thing we have is our ordinance reading. Councilmember Fellows, you have that 1457.
Resolved by Council of the City of Ypsilanti that an emergency ordinance entitled an ordinance to impose an emergency moratorium on issuance of new zoning permits for data centers in the City of Ypsilanti for 60 days be approved and given immediate effect. And I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Fellow, supported by Councilmember Tucson. Hello, good evening, Joe.
Good evening, council. So our office has been talking, obviously, as probably most people have been talking about data centers in the city. And so we had taken to Planning Commission last meeting, a presentation on how we can better regulate data centers, because it is not in our ordinance. In our ordinance, it does indicate that data centers are either an essential service, which we don't believe that that is the case. It kind of is the closest thing to meet it, or an unclassified use. And that's not how you properly regulate something. And so we presented it to the Planning Commission, and they felt pretty comfortable with doing that. The reason why it wasn't as big of a deal, we don't have very many big properties. Normally data centers want over 100 acres. That's just not available in the city. However, there are a couple of larger manufacturing plants. One of them recently came for sale. So we really decided this is probably getting to be a time where something could happen. Hence why we decided to ask council to pass an emergency ordinance while the Planning Commission sifts through our zoning ordinance to see what and how we can properly regulate data centers. The reason for 60 days is because that is what charter allows us to pass a emergency ordinance for. So, does anyone have any questions?
Y'all want to ask questions first, or after I have the public hearing? Would you like to ask questions first?
I would at least like to mention, and also Councilmember Simmons had her hand, but
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, you said that major manufacturing property went up, and I was just wondering what one.
It was the GW Kent property at right across from the patient station, kind of in the triangle. Yeah.
By the highway.
So this will allow us to study and get the regulations proper. When it comes to zoning, that is predominantly a land use issue. So some of the other issues that we need to look at don't always fall into that, and that's where we'll be working with our city attorney and our city planner to write the ordinance properly.
yeah, I just want to at least add some context before the public hearing opens that there's also another resolution that hasn't been read into the record yet, but to tackle the same issue, but via resolution for a 365-day moratorium. And the context really is that I wasn't aware that the city staff or planning department were looking at this. I hadn't heard from that at a city council meeting or an email. So I worked on this with some community members and brought it to staff to get input back. And that's when they said, how about we do an ordinance? That is why both of these are appearing on the agenda at the same time. I probably would have advocated for it to be moved to the next agenda, but this is how it's appearing. So this is how we'll talk about it. Yeah. And so maybe we can hear from the public for input and then discuss.
Okay, and just for clarity, that resolution is not on the agenda, but it can be added.
It's actually, it's in the packet and it's like a sub.
Yeah, no, I'm just, it's not listed on the agenda is what I'm saying. Just for clarity. It's not.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
I mean,
I don't know if people were, I know I gave it out. So. All right, so we're going to open the public hearing. Are there members of the audience who would like to address council on this matter? Please go. Hello again.
All right, Deron Witherspoon, Senior. Addressing the matter about the data centers coming off of exit 183, South Huron. When we get off of that exit, this city is only 5 square miles, and as me and my son looked, it's actually 4.5. So when someone's coming from Wayne County and they thinking about taking a break and they just passed Culver's or something, they might want to stop down to Ypsi. I don't think my community, the South Side, we don't want to see no data centers right there, looking like we somewhere in a cage or like we a metropolis or something. I pride myself on being a small town with big dreams and big action, and I think my community feel the same way. I believe that it'll be an eyesore to coming into our community. And it's just been sitting there for almost a year now. They ain't even been doing nothing with it. So I think that as a community, we need help with figuring out how to make sure that's turned into something like a shelter or something. If we're gonna do something like that, not somebody coming to get information out of us.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address council? I saw your hand first and then, yep, Jeremy. On the data center moratorium?
Yes. If you want to watch something, go to the Ypsi Township. They put up YouTube. They're starting to record the meetings now, and listen to Attorney Winter's discussion on how U of M's treating Ypsi Township. What I'm asking, along with that, Ypsi stand with, the Ypsi Township supervisor and the trustees there, and they're looking to put together a third meeting. They were talking about putting a third meeting together about the data center. I think it would be helpful that you all could attend or possibly work something out to make it all one big meeting, to make it one big, where everybody's there, everybody can get the same information. And it's because you are going to be affected just as much as the residents in Ypsi Township. All right. And I think it might be a good idea for you to come over and reach out, and just give them a call and go, hey, we heard you, might be thinking about third meeting, and call over to Eastern and say, hey, we want to have this meeting for the whole community, Ypsi Township and Ypsilanti. Can we hold it in like one of the ballrooms like you did for the one meeting we had for Reuben? So we can gather more people and more people can be in one spot so everybody can get the same info. Other than that, the data center shouldn't be built. More and more stuff, the harmonics of the acoustics affect people. And if you look at birds don't like hanging around them. A lot of insects stay away from them. Predator birds especially stay away from them. So there are effects. If there are effects to insects and other live animals, there are effects to humans as well. So let's leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. On the data center moratorium? On the data center moratorium?
On the data center. First, I want to every one of you know I'm not ashamed of the gospel. Know where I go. This is what it says, and it ties into everything I'm talking about. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all of its righteousness, and all of these things will be added to you. Now listen, seek safety first. Seek safety first, because ain't nothing else want to come into no city where it's not safe. So if you seek safety first, listen to me, then you can talk about the data center. It can be added to you. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all of its righteousness, and all of these things will be added to you. Seek safety first, and then you can talk about the data center.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address council on the moratorium? Yes, please go ahead. Hello again.
I'll be extra brief. So I really, so two of the previous speakers said I really do like, I just kind of wanted to comment on that. One was, like I said, we are a small city with a big heart, and we also have a big, awesome population, and I think we deserve better than this, and I think we can't have better than data centers here. I also think that there's a very good point that we don't live in a vacuum either. Like I've got friends who are, a block away from me who are technically in the township, and something I didn't realize until technically recently where the line officially gets drawn. So I think it's a good suggestion to team up forces together because it's impacting all of us, and we deserve to know what's going on in the full community, even be outside of our borders. And thank y'all for taking this seriously. And like I said, it is great to hear about the longer potential moratorium. Yeah, and just keep it up because we deserve better than this. That's really all I got right now. Thank y'all. Take care.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak to data center moratorium? Yes, please come.
I didn't prepare in any way, so sorry, but it will be brief. I want there to not be a data center in Ypsilanti ever. I think it's absurd with how small our city is to ever even think about putting one in. But that's obviously like a much bigger discussion that we are just asking you to postpone for 60 days. Like whether or not there should ever be a data center in Ypsilanti isn't even what this is about. It's just give the planning commission 60 days. I wish we could give them longer because 60 days is not a very long turnaround time. But at the minimum, 60 days so that they can just come up with their plan is very, very reasonable. And I think you should support that. Thank you.
Sorry, can you state your name for the record?
Oh,
please?
sorry. My name is Fen Melcher and I live here in Ypsilanti.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to address council on this topic? Anybody on the Zooms? No? Okay. Seeing none, Councilmember Fellows?
Resolved by this council of the city of Ypsilanti that the public hearing for an emergency ordinance entitled an ordinance to impose an emergency moratorium on issuance of new zoning permits for data centers in the city of Ypsilanti for 60 days be officially closed, and I so move.
It's been moved by Councilmember Fellows, supported by Councilmember Tucson. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so now we're back to discussion. Question. Councilmember Fellows?
Oh, no, I was going to share a bit about this resolution and the conversation with city manager from yesterday. So I don't know how we should go about this, but I could read in the resolution now or potentially after this ordinance first reading. So
we'd have to read it in after because we already have that one on the table, but to vote on it.
Sure. So I did want to just share that 19 other communities in Michigan have imposed data center moratoriums. I've looked at several of them. They were all done by resolution. They've all been at minimum 3 months, but usually up to 9 months. And so that is why we took this approach with the resolution to just have a longer moratorium, given that, data centers are a kind of new phenomenon and we don't know yet what to kind of expect as far as all the potential impacts in the community. So having more time to understand how to approach the subject would mean that we could, study effects of other communities' impacts for a little bit longer. So I do think that would be better. This resolution also does other things besides impose a moratorium. It also supports state legislature or Representative Jimmy Wilson Jr., who has introduced a bill to rescind a public grant of $100 million. So it sends some support and asks that representative to disseminate this to other state reps. It also asks to disseminate this information to other actors in the state, as well as to ask the Ypsilanti Township Board of Trustees to enact their own moratorium, because, again, we don't have any data centers being proposed for Ypsilanti per se right now. The Los Alamos U of M data center is being proposed for Ypsi Township, but we do want to support the township in doing moratorium themselves, as well as taking any other action they can to slow down and restrict what's going on there. So that's just a little bit information about this one, which is, I would say, distinct from the other one because it's much longer and it does other things besides the moratorium. I am open to supporting the ordinance as is. In a conversation with the city manager, we kind of discussed that we could potentially just pass both. We can pass the emergency 60-day ordinance and we can pass the resolution. And if we want to, we can pass another 60-day ordinance if 60 days passes. So I'm kind of amenable to that resolution that we can do both. And that's what I would propose.
Councilmember Simmons?
So I guess I have two main questions. One is, I know some time ago, some folks were sending me things around. So when thinking about data centers, there's both like the big behemoths that were seeing proposed in places like Saline and then even in the township, but there's also kind of smaller things. So I just wonder, so for instance, folks had talked about the where the EMU credit union used to be on Jennings, right? Yes, that is a data center to. And so I just wonder, in terms of thinking about this moratorium, how that would impact things like that. And, if we know that there's other kind of projects that are of that kind of small scale that we should also be aware of.
So the data center that was put there, I don't know the exact use, but I believe it would be for crypto coins. I think, once again, that was more of like an office type use. The data centers that we're talking about are much more the large manufacturing style. This would put a pause on those data centers or the small scale data centers as well while we figure this out. And we don't have any plan, like there's nobody who has proposed a data center or even talked to staff about a data center.
The old EMUCU bank, there was a
The one that's on
Jenny.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little data center now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's it's a very small thing. And like I said, it's more of like a computing thing. Cause once again, I think, once again, that is a lot different than the data centers that we're talking about. However, both would be paused until we could actually figure this out.
And then the other thing, and I know Councilmember Fellows mentioned this, and I just want to say, because we did get a lot of outreach about this, and folks wanting the longer time. So I'm definitely interested in having as much increase in thinking about strategy for how we, take the time that we need. And but a lot of folks were naming, obviously, the project in Ypsi Township, and just to state that whatever action or inaction or whatever that we do here actually has no bearing on that project. And so I know it's always tough because we talk about these boundaries, and that I know folks in Ypsi Township have also been talking through this. But so just wanting to, I definitely like the idea of being able to encourage our colleagues in the township and elsewhere. I think in here it also had Yucca maybe too was named. So I encourage that, but I just wanted to state that clearly, just because I know almost all of the outreach we got named those projects.
So I know I've said it a few times and it's been said, there is no data center proposed in the city of Ypsilanti. We just want to make sure our ordinances are properly written so we can address them if that does happen.
Thank you. Oh, Steve has his hand up. Is he able to unmute himself? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. I understand that the 60 days is the legal limit that we have from our charter, and I appreciate that. I also agree that a longer moratorium may be necessary to figure this out. Just sitting and listening, I don't know that we have actually defined data center, and talking about the difference in sizes, that will have to play into whatever legislation we put forward in the future. I did go to the township meeting a couple months ago, and I've talked with Jimmy Wilson about the clawback of the money. The township is being taken advantage of by the university and by the state, basically. So working with them, their attorney has a lot of good information about what they've been through, and I'd like to see us. I've seen the resolution, and am in favor of most of the things on there, but I don't have it in front of me at the moment. So I'd like to postpone that till the next meeting so we can do that, and get more information. I do like the idea of having a longer moratorium so that we can get information about the other effects and have more data for making specific claims against the data centers. But I think we need to come up with some language to set the limits on what we're looking at. So
Thank you. So, question about this, because I do think that it needs to be longer. I'm wondering though, in the 365 days, would that supersede the 60-day moratorium with the ordinance?
I'm not a lawyer. Andrew has, but I'm not a lawyer, but
Okay, city manager.
So I did do some research on this, and what I came across was the equal dignity doctrine, which essentially says that local governments, when passing things, they need to do so with equal dignity. So a resolution cannot suspend or do anything with the ordinance. It has to be through ordinance, these changes. So my concern is, say something were to come along and they say that that property between Huron and Hamilton, if they purchase that, I think they could have legal grounds to challenge a resolution.
Oh, whoa. And then Joe and whoever, one of you, 60 days is what's allowed by the ordinance. And so then that means the number would have
By
to
charter.
by charter. So then that would have to be changed. How,
There-
like,
there
how
could-
would we do this?
There could be another 60-day ordinance after that. It just,
Right.
we're just gonna have to adopt a lot of ordinances until we actually
Right. So
get
we
this
could
right.
we could keep doing the ordinance, but I mean, if we were going to try to pass this resolution, I'm saying, what does that mean about the resolution if that won't see the 60-day?
So it
Let's-
wouldn't necessarily, you could pass it.
Hmm.
I'm just saying it could definitely be challenged in court. So that's why I wanted to do an ordinance, because that I think will have a larger legal bearing.
Okay,
So you
both-
could do it, you could do both, and the resolution, and we'd also move forward with the other items that are included. But I would recommend, if we do both, then to just keep an eye on it and just renew the emergency ordinance.
60-day one.
And we would come with the next ordinance, and say, this is where we're at in our investigation. This is why we need another 60 days. And so it would just be every 60 days until we actually get it right. Because
Through the ordinance.
we want this to be done right. We do have some constraints based on our charter. And I know that a lot of communities don't have this rule, but our charter is kind of our overall.
Our charter.
It's our charter, yeah.
So
It's our
basically-
constitution, basically.
So basically, we could do both, but knowing that we would just have to keep renewing that 60-day one for it to actually be in effect,
To be law.
to be long enough.
Yeah, no, to be law. So we're like
To be law,
a
okay.
resolution is a kind of a direction to staff on what council's position is. The ordinance is law that we as staff are obliged to. And our oath of office says we have to obey the laws of the city, not the.
Whoa. There are a lot of sounds today. All right, Councilmember Fellows.
That sounds all good to me. I think it's great to have it explained thoroughly. And yeah, I would be curious as to how our charter departs from the 19 other communities that all did it by resolution, but I trust that you all looked into it. So I would just say let's move
I've
forward
never
with both.
I've studied a lot of communities, just so you're aware, and I have never seen the 60-day emergency ordinance maximum. I don't know, Attorney Barker. So we're all at kind of a loss at why there's the 60-day rule, but that's what we're working with. Maybe we should do a charter amendment and.
Maybe.
You know how I feel about this.
We know how you feel about that. All right. Any other questions? I think that it feels like we're all on the same page here, I hope.
I guess my only question is procedural then. So do we want to do we add just to walk it on
We
then?
can just walk it on right after this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and then we could just name it Resolution 2026-047A. Oh, I'm sorry, 46A.
46A. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, well then let's move forward with the ordinance and then we'll go to the resolution. If there's no further discussion, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fellows,
Yes.
Mayor Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then what's the proper way to add that to the table right now? Just to say you want
Move to add.
support. Okay.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I don't know.
Okay. And
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor of adding it?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. There you go.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm going to read most of it in, but it's quite long. Okay. Resolution of the Ypsilanti City Council imposing a temporary 365-day moratorium on data centers resolved by the Council of the City of Ypsilanti. Whereas the City Council has become aware of increased statewide interest in data center development and that facilities marketed as data centers may differ significantly from traditional uses of building form and footprint, heating, ventilation, and noise, electrical load and reliability, water use and wastewater discharges, fire suppression and mechanical systems, emergency response, exterior equipment placement, traffic and parking, and other environmental and public safety impacts. And whereas the City of Ypsilanti zoning ordinance does not define or regulate data centers, and any such proposal would be processed as an unclassified use under Section 122-431C without tailored standards addressing these distinguishing characteristics or ensuring compatibility with adjacent land uses. And whereas data centers demand significantly electricity and water, generate noise and diesel exhaust from backup generators, and increase demands on municipal infrastructure and emergency services. And whereas at least 19 Michigan communities have passed data center moratoriums, finding these facilities require specific regulatory controls not present in existing zoning ordinances. And whereas the City Council finds that a temporary moratorium on data center approvals is necessary to study land use and infrastructure implications to consider appropriate zoning amendments. Whereas the city's October 21st, 2025 Mayors for Peace resolution opposes Los Alamos University of Michigan data center proposal for Ypsilanti Township due to its connections to nuclear weapons modernization and potential environmental harms, and demanded revocation of the $100 million grant for this project. And whereas State Representative Jimmy Wilson Jr. has introduced House Bill 5362 to rescind this grant along with 14 co-sponsors, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Ypsilanti hereby resolves as follows. Section 1 is a moratorium imposed for 365 days. Section 2 is study and recommendations, which says city staff together with the city attorney and appropriate consultants shall undertake a comprehensive review of land use, infrastructure, environmental, public safety, and other regulatory issues associated with data centers. And lists a bunch of different ways that the staff can do that. Section 3 is a call to action. City of Ypsilanti calls upon this Ypsilanti Township Board of Trustees to enact their own data center moratorium to allow adequate time to study the proposed Los Alamos University of Michigan project and to enact policies and protections, and for the Township Board to utilize all available means, including permit denials to prevent its development, and B, the Ypsilanti Community Utilities Authority to do the same and to enact appropriate policies and protections. Section 4, support for state legislation. The City Council expresses its strong support for House Bill 5362, which seeks to rescind a $100 million grant of public funding. Council thanks the co-sponsors for their leadership and urges all remaining members of the Michigan House of Representatives to support this legislation. And Section 5 is a waiver provision, and Section 6 is miscellaneous provisions that say we will be in compliant with law and it will not affect permits during this time. Section 7 is dissemination, that the city clerk shall transmit certified copies of this resolution to the Ypsi Township Board of Trustees, University of Michigan Board of Regents and President, Washtenaw County Board of Commissioners, U.S. Representative serving Ypsilanti, Ypsilanti Community Utilities Authority, Chief Executive Officer of the MEDC, Chair of the Michigan Strategic Fund, and Representative Jimmy Wilson Jr. for distribution to the co-sponsors and all members of the Michigan House of Representatives, and I so move.
Support. Moved by Councilmember Fellow, supported by Councilmember King. All right, discussion. Any further discussion? I suppose. Oh, Steve is, listen, I'm not used to having to look up there. Mayor Pro Tem.
I'd just like to say I pulled this up and I am in favor of this. I have had conversations with Mike Beaudry about Yucca's ability to deny data centers water. They can't do that based on, just like we can't deny them based on discriminatory zoning. If they get a call, they will have to request an application for supplying water. They will have to do that. The only thing they can go on is whether there's pollution that is beyond their ability to control, and then they can require pre-treatment before it gets to the sewage treatment, which we've got a issue on the agenda today for that too. So, you know, I'm in favor of this. I just want to say that again. So,
Thank you. City Manager?
If I could piggyback off that, in speaking about this resolution, I thought that part about Yucca had been removed, saying what Steve has said, what Mayor Pro Tem said, Yucca has no legal basis to deny someone service. So I personally would like to see that removed, but obviously it is council's determination.
Councilmember Fellows?
I just handed it away, but I think it just says to explore any, policy that is available. Councilmember King, do you see that on there?
Looking for it now. Yes, that's all it says. The Ypsilanti YCUA to do the same and enact appropriate policies and protections.
Yeah, so it's a suggestion to look into whatever strategies they can to, make sure that things are fair for residential ratepayers versus industrial ratepayers versus commercial ratepayers, and look at policy to do that.
The discussion?
That we did get, I just checked now, 57 emails and 2 public comment regarding this issue in support of a moratorium. So I just want to thank the public for all the engagement and input on this issue.
Thank you. There's nothing further. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Simmons.
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Fellows.
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, Councilmember Tucson, you have our consent agenda.
Indeed. Resolved by the Council of the City of Ypsilanti, that the following items be approved. Resolution number 2026-049, approving the minutes of the regular meeting of February 17, 2026. Resolution number 2026-050, confirming and ratifying the appointment of Joy M. Glovic upon the recommendation of Randolph Barker, Ypsilanti City Attorney. Resolution number 2026-051, approving the purchases of 2 fully electric vehicles for the parking enforcement fleet in the total amount of $64,438 to be expended from the appropriate motor pool capital accounts, with any change orders to be approved by the city manager. Resolution number 2026-052, approving the second amended articles of incorporation for the Washtenaw Regional Resource Management Authority, or WARMA. Resolution number 2026-053, approving and adopting the amended rules and regulations for the Historic District Commission as presented. Resolution number 2026-061, authorizing the city manager to make payment of $39,075 to Give Direct for the purposes of the RX Kids programs, and further authorize all future payments until the full $100,000 has been expended, and I so move.
Moved by Councilmember Tucson, supported by Councilmember King. Please call the roll.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Fellows.
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson.
yes.
Councilmember Simmons.
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Consent agenda passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right. Councilmember Simmons, you have 054. The Yucca contract.
What about, oh, I see. Yes. Resolved by the Council of City of Ypsilanti, whereas it is necessary to acquire and construct certain improvements to the Water Resource Recovery Facility, the WRRF, or the wastewater treatment plant, including but not limited to the replacement of the settling tanks at the WRRF and the replacement of the electrical substation and generator in the solids process building at the WRRF, together with all necessary appurtenances. Even though I practiced it, I still appurtenances and attachments thereto to serve the Charter Township of Ypsilanti, the Township, and the City of Ypsilanti, the City. And whereas a contract has been prepared among the City and Township and the Ypsilanti Community Utilities Authority, whereby the authority will issue its bonds on behalf of the City and the Township to provide for the financing of costs of the project. And whereas the governing body has carefully reviewed the contract and finds that it provides the best means for accomplishing the project and for providing the needed services. Now therefore be it resolved that the contract is hereby approved and the mayor and the city clerk of the city are hereby authorized and directed to execute and deliver the contract for and on behalf of the city, provided, however, that contract shall not become effective until the expiration of 45 days after the publication of the attached notice as a display advertisement of at least a quarter page in size in the Washington All Legal News, a newspaper of general circulation within the city, which manner of publication is deemed by the governing body to be the most effective manner of informing the taxpayers and electors of the city of the details of the proposed contract and the rights of referendum thereunder. 2, city clerk is directed to publish the attached notice in the newspaper above designated as soon as possible after the adoption hereof. 3, all resolutions and parts of resolutions in conflict with this resolution be and the same hereby are repealed. And I so move. Support.
Moved by Councilmember Simmons, supported by Councilmember King. Good evening, Mr. Blackburn.
Good evening, Mayor Brown and members of council. I've come before you quite a few times over the last few years for drinking water revolving fund program projects. This is a little different and probably requires a little different explanation because this is a clean water revolving fund project. So this is for projects at the Water Resource Recovery Facility. Late October, received notice from Eagle that we had became eligible for approximately $11 million worth of project funding for 2 projects that we had previously submitted and been ineligible for a handful of years. I think it's probably been 3 or 4 years since we were actually eligible for projects at the plant. So there's some of these projects have been on our books for quite some time. The 2 specific projects are, the first one is our primary settling tanks. These are 5 of the 6 original tanks from the original 1982 construction. They've been in service for close to 50 years. Mechanical equipment, the steel components have corroded significantly. There's a handful of pictures in the board packet that was submitted. One of the units actually failed back about 2 years ago, and we had to do an emergency repair kind of midwinter. Not the most cost-effective approach to major capital items like that. So we knew that we definitely had to get a head start on doing a larger project for the remaining 5 tanks from the plant construction. The second piece of this is our solids building electrical improvements. The solids building at the Water Resource Recovery Facility is kind of the core of the plant. That's how we basically manage the solids that we remove from the wastewater. So this is the dewatering, the storage, the incineration of the biosolids. So the electrical gear within that facility is pretty comprehensive, quite complicated. There is a what we call an automatic transfer switch and a generator that also backs up that facility and provides backup power to the Water Resource Recovery Facility. That is part of that electrical package upgrade that was part of the 1982 construction. When it comes to projects at the plant, we call these shared projects. So this is probably not something I've explained to council in quite some time. But shared projects basically mean in the bond documents, you'll see the 75-25% breakdown or split. But at the end of the day, that's not really how it gets paid. It gets paid and split based upon capacities that the city and township have in the Water Resource Recovery Facility, along with capacities that contract communities have leased within the facility, and or one community, WT, or one entity, WTUA, actually owns a portion of their capacity within the facility. Basically, the way this all works out is currently the city pays about 5.52% of any debt service for these type of projects. The township pays just over 20%, and the contract communities as a whole pay about 73.5%. The debt service payment on this is it will depend upon with state revolving fund projects. This is not like an open market bond where we take an amount of money and then we're indebted for that amount of money. We will only draw what the project calls for. So if bids come in lower or the costs come in lower, then we would only draw that much and we're not really on the hook for any additional monies. If we were to draw the full 11 million, we would anticipate a annual debt service payment for the entire authority of about $675,000. That would equate to approximately $37,000 on an annual basis to the city of Ypsilanti. And at this time, I'd also like to bring up Mr. Liscombe. He's from Miller Canfield and serves as the authority's bond counsel.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. My name is Ron Liscombe, and I'm an attorney with Miller Canfield. We serve as bond counsel to the Ypsilanti Community Utilities Authority. We've served in that capacity for many years. I know my colleague, Tom Colas, usually appears before you, but I'm here on his behalf this evening. So the contract you have in front of you tonight is pretty similar to what you approved in December for a water project for the city only. That was for your lead service line. So the basic gist of the contract is the same. Basically, what we're doing is we're selling these bonds. The security is the city's full faith and credit in connection with the township. But again, as Luke indicated, actual payment of debt service comes from the users of the system, including all the contract communities. So this is going to be sold to the Michigan Finance Authority pursuant to the State Revolving Fund Program, authorized under the Clean Water Act, the United States Clean Water Act, the federal act. So what they do is basically authorize very low-cost financing for municipalities to improve their water and wastewater systems nationwide. So the current rate for the wastewater, the State Revolving Fund, the Clean Water Program is 2.5%, which is substantial savings compared to what you would be paying if you were to sell these on the open market. So it's a really good program. As Luke indicated, you kind of start to draw down as the project is being constructed, as you incur those expenditures. We expect, I think, about a 23 year payback at 2.5% interest. So all in, it's a high $600,000, low $700,000 debt service for the system-wide debt service. So if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good to meet you. Thank you.
Questions from council? Councilmember Fellows?
Thank you for breaking all that down. I think I missed your last figure. You said $700,000 in debt.
Ballpark is the total debt service.
About average is about 675.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you anticipate any effect for residential ratepayers as far as what that would look like?
Yeah, I think whenever we're adding debt, there is an impact. The city has done a great job of investing in its infrastructure over the last 20 years that I've been involved with YCUA. So the debt service outlook for the city looks great. There's a significant amount of debt coming off the books in 27 and 28, close to $1 million. There is operating expenses. That's part of that equation, that budget that we do every year. A couple months ago, GLWA had acknowledged that they were going to increase rates approximately 6.5% to YCUA. As of last week's board meeting, that changed. I think we're now right about 5.8. Before I left the office today, about 4 o'clock, I got an email with the rate sheet. So that's one of the largest costs to the city beyond just these type of projects. But I do think rates, with the amount of debt coming off, will be significantly mitigated in the future.
Follow up on that then. So it looks that this project is for $11 million. And we're going to be 5.5% of that. So would that mean we would be around $500,000 in new debt?
It would, as in the annual debt service, is about $37,000. You're talking about the total
Over the life of the
life of the loan. Yeah.
About $500,000 to $600,000. But you said that we will have debt that falls off in 27 and 28, around $1 million, right?
And I can give you the exact numbers, yes.
So that looks like the debt we're incurring will be less than the debt that's falling off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's in $500,000 drops off next year, and then the subsequent year it's $1 million total. Most of these are the Water Street bonds that were financed many years ago.
About 1.5 in the next 2 years.
You get one total.
You have a question on that?
Yeah, just because I'm just using a calculator because I can't like y'all just did. But I just put in 37,000, and then did I hear that we're expecting about 22 to 23 years to pay it back?
Yeah, until April 1 of 2048 is the final debt service payment.
And so I just so I put in that amount times the 23, and so that would be 851.
Just a note, though, is that you don't hit that full 30,000 for several years because you're drawing down the principal. So you're only paying interest on the principal that you actually draw down. So you're not going to have drawn the full 11 million.
I see.
Another probably two-ish years or so.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, thank you.
Just as a follow-up, so
I saw him.
of course, we have the Harriet Street project, so there's always some, new debt that is going on the books. And as Mr. Liscombe indicated, there is projects that we have not even drawn the full amount yet, that go back many years. Sometimes, especially electrical projects, we have an SRF project back from 2020 that it's still not been complete, just because of the longevity of getting some of the equipment on site. So sometimes these projects can go many, many years before we start drawing the full amount of the loan. As of 2025, with all debt factored in, the city is at about $2.64 million in debt service, and that includes water and wastewater. In 26, it does have a slight uptick to 2.7, but then comes down to 2.28 in 27, and then a significant drop off to about 1.4 in 28. And I can share any of these numbers.
I guess I just have one follow-up to that then. So to me, it sounds like that could impact our rates in the positive, like they could come down.
I think that's possible.
The city of Ypsi residents are paying at a higher rate than the township, and so that's an interest of ours to get that a little bit more balanced.
And one of the things the authority is doing right now is going through a rate study. So when we have a lot of these changes, volatility in the rates, we went through a rate study. I wasn't with the utility at the time back in 2018 when rates got reset, and we went with the city. We changed the city from a surcharge program to what's called an RTS, or Readiness to Serve program. So that kind of reset some of that debt service and remodeled it. We're going through that same study again right now with a consultant to go through and ensure that the rate making process that we go through is appropriate, that the costs for various projects and operating expenses are in the right buckets. So again, for what myself and Dwayne Harrigan, the finance director at the authority, I think the future looks great for rates for the city, and we hope that we can keep costs down as much as possible.
Awesome. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem, I see your hand on the screen.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I would like to see the history of our debt service. This has come up in various times for projects that are being proposed, and we kind of have this conversation. But if you can make that available, and not just recently, but something in terms of, I can't recall the last time we had a large project for the sewage treatment plant, but if we could go back a few years to show what that looks like in perspective of another large project. These facilities got, a lot of facilities got built at a time when there was money coming from the federal government, and then as we saw under President Biden, that not a whole lot of cash had come forward for being able to repair these facilities. And that's been a problem for quite some time. So I'm glad to see that we're taking care of these things. Having things come offline, that means that we don't have any backups for some of the other parts of the facility. So I do have a question about the number of 670,000, 700,000 is on there, and I'm looking at the table on page 4 of the contract, and trying to figure out how that relates to those numbers. So it starts at 2029, goes to 2048. So if we're paying, that's the total debt service by all of the customers, the township, the city, and then all the contract customers. Is that correct?
So the chart you see on page 4 of the contract, that is the principal payments only. So you also have interest added on that. So if you look at, so basically, if you want to get an idea of how much total you'll be paying each year, you'll want to take a look at 2048, because that's when interest will be the smallest and principal will be the largest. So that gives you kind of just the ballpark. These are equal annual debt service payments, so it's right in that high $600,000 range.
Got it. Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Councilmember Key?
I just have a quick question. You mentioned you all were going through a study. How long does that take?
I haven't been through that many myself. I've been through a couple. Went through one with our contract communities recently, and it's going on about 4 months. The update that we're doing right now, and part of that did include an update to the retail water side of YCUA. The sewer update is the large piece that's going on right now. It needs to be done before our budget, which is going to start here in the next couple of months.
Great, thank you.
Any further comments or questions?
Can
I
I
have
ask
another
a
question.
question?
Oh,
Go ahead.
Councilmember King.
Not regarding this. I just got a quick question while you're here. That a resident asked me about an annual report of water quality. Do you all send those out? She said she hadn't received one in many years.
We do send those out. I always carry one with me. We drop them off at city council.
You always carry one with you?
Always carry one with me. So this is required by EPA that we put out a water quality report. So this is available on our website. We put it on the water notices a couple years ago because it's no longer required. We don't mail them to everybody just due to cost. And then in the notice that we put in the water bill, if anybody wants a mailed copy, we actually keep a list at the authority for those that want a mailed copy, and we still mail that to them.
Okay.
Those that, it's available on the website, for every year going back for the last 20, 30 years.
Okay. They can reach out to you if they want a mailed version, like reach
Yeah.
out to the
Yep,
authority
we
that
keep
you.
a mailing list for anybody that wants just a hard copy, but otherwise there's the digital PDF available on the website.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I was just wondering if the study would have comps from other communities of our size. I know we get water from GLWA, but what do we pay in water rates compared to that? I know there were some information the last time Luke was here, but I'm wondering if that study will have those kind of comps for us to look at.
Well, Mayor Pro Tem, I think you're discussing more of like maybe a benchmark study. That is not part of the work that the rate consultant is doing. Dwayne and myself do go out and look at, we did this during some of the water side, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo. There's not a lot of models like YCUA in the state to compare, but we do grab water rates from other communities, similar communities, and benchmark those every couple years. And can always provide that update if you would like to see it. I think we supplied an update last year.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you. Anything further? All right, thank you. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mayor Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Fellows,
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, Councilmember Simmons, you have 055.
Resolved by the Council of the City of Ypsilanti, whereas the City of Ypsilanti has an interest in remediating and developing Water Street, and whereas the city will be doing additional excavation work this spring and summer, and whereas the city has approximately $285,861.91 in TIF capture from the development of Family Dollar, which can be used toward reimbursable brownfield environmental assessment and due care planning expenses, and the city is seeking the DABC grant and loan. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Ypsilanti authorizes the city manager to sign and grant the loan agreements with DABC pending review by the city attorney to use our brownfield capture toward repayment of the loan portion of the funds, and I so move.
Then moved by Councilmember Simmons.
Support.
Supported by Councilmember King. That was fast. I didn't even catch it. All right. Hello, Katie.
Hello. So we are applying for the Downriver Community Conference. So it's DABC is a consortium, and Downriver Community Conferences that is what I'm used to calling it. So I'll probably call it the DCC. We are providing them with the application that I included in the packet for a $500,000 grant and a $300,000 loan. The loan will be a low interest loan that our intent would be to pay it back as we spend the money, we're not incurring any debt. Actually, obviously we are, because we're taking out a loan, but paying it back with the monies that we already have captured on development on the property. The other thing is that it's more favorably looked upon as if we have skin in the game. So using our own funds and having those funds used towards that.
Oh, it's a grant application and a loan.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so it's both. Okay.
Yep. The 500, we're asking for $500,000 in grant dollars with a match of the $300,000. Yep.
Councilmember Simmons?
Yeah, so my question is, why do we need the loan if we already have the funds?
To acquire the grant.
So the loan is attached to the grant?
It's
So
not attached, but it shows that the city is committed to the project and that we're working towards it and using some of our own funds to do the work as well. And so that allows them, also the repayment of that loan allows them to have additional funds in their coffers to continue to do the work that they do at the community conference.
I guess I'm not understanding, because wouldn't the money that we have captured be skin in the game?
So are you saying that that money that we captured is what would be paying back that loan? Is that
Right?
That's what I've
Yes.
heard.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes. It's in and out. So the money that we would use from the loan, we would pay it back with that money.
And so they were.
So they would be getting that money. They're like, we're giving that money to repay that loan.
Got it.
So like
yeah, your question, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so
maybe
because because with the grant dollars, they're just giving money out. With the loan, they're getting money. They get money in.
So we couldn't say we have money in. Ta-da, we have it, and then we get the grant.
Or why couldn't we use the money that we have to just pay for the work that we wouldn't be paying for with the loan?
If I could add something, so the
Yeah,
grant is for $500,000 and then the loan is for $300,000. So we would pay down the loan, but we would also get an additional $500,000. So it's $800,000 total.
So is it that I think? Okay, maybe you all are understanding us because I think I'm understanding you.
I think I'm
So
not.
the $300,000 is what you actually need to apply for to get the grant. Is that the way it works?
We don't need it, but it shows that the city is putting money towards the project.
Do you understand why we think that?
I do understand like
Because
what
we
you're
have-
saying. Yes,
Okay.
because we have the money. Yes, I do understand
Say
that.
we have the money. You could show.
So we could
Sure.
say, hey,
Certainly.
we want to put our money toward this grant, but we also don't want to have to pay interest on it because we just captured
Right. And so
interest to get it.
Yeah.
we virtually won't be paying interest on it because we'll be paying it out as we go. We have this money. It's money that we just have to do paperwork on that with the Washtenaw County Brownfield Authority.
Is this a typical setup for something like this? I mean,
It is. That's my understanding is that yes, it is.
Is it a way to keep the money flowing in a closed loop? I just am trying to.
I think so, yes, because they want to be able to make more loans and make more grants to get work done across the Downriver community.
because we've had other like grants that talk about matching before, and we don't have to take a loan out to prove that we're gonna put our own money in.
Sure.
To,
Yeah.
that we have skin in the game. So I guess that's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
We're asking because
because the matching typically is to say you're putting, sorry, let me get it closer.
Hmm.
Matching is typically saying that if a project costs $100 and you try to get a grant for half of that, or let's say 3/4, that you can match some of the other quarter.
And arguably, I just did not ask this question. I didn't think about it. I see how you guys are thinking about it now, and I did not ask about
Because
it
this
way.
is saying that something costs $100 and we want to get a grant for half of it, and then we want to borrow, but we don't really need to borrow, but we want to do this loan so that it can basically pay back some of the money that we are getting granted, is what it feels
Sure.
like.
Right. Yep.
So it's kind of like more like it's a relationship, more of kind of trying to be like a membership cooperate, like a membership or something where we're paying in order to get the benefit of some non-loan money. I'm just trying to, is that kind of more what we're trying to say is that even if it doesn't say that we have to get the loan in order to get the grant, that's what it feels like. in order to really be competitive for the grant, we have to get the loan to say that we're paying into the COFRs for another future project for another community.
I think that's my best guess without having a direct.
I just want to try to lead. I'm just trying to lead us down. And then the question I would have would be just to understand how much we'll be paying on the money that we already have that we'll be paying as we go. Because even if you stay on top of it, you know, we still will get charged. There will still be a charge to that, right? So it would be helpful to know.
So the max would be what we have in the brownfield, like what we have in the capture. That we're not going above what we have in the capture.
But for what amount of time? Because we're still continuing to capture, right? So how long?
For the duration of this portion of the project. So that 800,000, the 300 plus the 500,000, so the $800,000 part of the project. It wouldn't continue. It would be just for the scope of what
Where it
this
is now
application
to
is for.
apply.
What was that?
Number, like where it is at the time that you apply.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, it's not like we're gonna keep going further and keep extending that loan.
And we would only be taking out, well, because again, so what we have now isn't quite 300,000.
Yeah,
we'll be only borrowing.
There'd be
up to
another
whatever amount.
capture coming up this spring, and we captured about $30,000 last year, $32,000 last year, and so we'd be there.
Mayor Pro Tem, is your hand up from the last time or up right now?
It's up right now.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
I was equally confused as my colleagues on how this was to look out. And my question is, and I appreciate the questions because those were my questions too. It's just like, so what is the interest on this loan? At $300,000, I understand that we have $285,000 now. We'll get another 30-some thousand, and we could pay this off. I appreciate the comment about this is a kind of a show of faith to the organization, but we're going to wind up paying more than $300,000, right? And I perpetuating the source is great, but what are we going to pay in the end? Total.
All questions that didn't even occur to me, and I can make sure we get more answers if we need to wait, and I can do that research.
I think that would be great.
Of that, yeah, of just like waiting until we get a little bit of that info. I don't know if the city manager you're going to say something about this earlier, but
So I think it makes sense to table this and find out what interest we are paying, and also if we have the ability to pay it all up front.
So there's no, pay it all back. That's what I was going to ask after.
And that may be the case as well. And I don't know. There is a deadline. We are trying to present this to the GCC next Tuesday. But if we can't, we can't.
So if we miss that deadline on Tuesday, then is that the deadline for the application, or when you want the next time?
That's when we were presenting it to them. That was the intent, was to present it to them on
So
that.
is there not another, like, can you tell us what
I would
the
have-
implications of not doing this now?
I don't know. I'll have to find out. I didn't ask those questions. I didn't get that far. I apologize. I didn't look at it this way, and so I didn't think along this line of thinking. But I mean, arguably, we could wait a month and present it in April if we need to. I know that they had a committee reviewing our application that I believe met today, and so I can get more information on how that was viewed, and I might actually be able to get some more answers while we're sitting here tonight, but I don't know for sure.
Councilmember Fellows and then Councilmember Simmons.
yeah, that sounds good to me. And also maybe one of the questions I might add is like, can we just show that we have this TIF money as our proof of skin in the game, and just ask that question?
And, if they request that, like, maybe they request that we pass a resolution saying it's committed to spending it on this again.
Yeah, and like sign an agreement with the
Yeah,
person that.
true. This just feels strange. I've never seen something like this in my time.
Fair enough.
Councilmember Simmons?
Just in terms of adding into the questions to what city manager was suggesting about being able to pay off upfront without penalty, because sometimes
Yep.
some loans,
Of course. Yeah.
yeah, they'll be like, you can pay it, but you still gonna give us something. So yeah,
Sure, yeah.
that's just an added question to.
Nope, that's a fair question, and I think my understanding is that there wouldn't be a penalty because it's all been communicated as though it were. I mean, it's not cash, but as though it were cash. And so,
And I guess the other thing is just asking them, I know this was a question about whether this is typical, but just like, yeah, if this is kind of what they do with other communities too, and like what other, some examples.
sure, yep, that's good.
So what I'm hearing is that you could present again in April potentially, but you also get some answers tonight. Maybe. We don't know. Okay.
Yep.
Then can we have a motion to
table? I make so move.
Mayor, if I might, before we do
Oh,
that.
sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, if what they need is some commitment from the city, and if Katie is going to have to go talk with them about this in between now and the next time we can take this up as a body, then would it be helpful to have a motion that we will commit our TIF funding towards this project? That, just a standard statement that will give them some indication that we're serious about this and we're committed to doing this, but not that we also need the other information.
Yeah. I mean, so in the RFL, it says council already approved the use of those funds on the Water Street redevelopment area. I guess the reason why I was saying that we would get the information to see if maybe they want something specific beyond, like, not just that one liner, but we could do that too. I mean.
Well, sure, but then if we're not taking out a loan, then there's no permission needed, right? Because the funds have already been allocated to be able to spend on the project. So,
okay.
I'm just thinking of a statement that would
theoretically,
help
I don't
them.
need to come back if we don't have to do a loan.
They say no, we don't have to do the loan, right?
Right.
Okay. Order of operations. Do we want to pass? So this is the thing. Order of operations here. This is what always messes me up. What we're about to do here is not an amendment. It would be a different resolution. So we need to do something with this and then bring whatever comment what we're gonna make. Okay.
Correct.
So we should move to table this,
yeah.
and then we can do the.
I still move to table this.
Support. Oh,
So we're tabling this, or are we substituting another resolution for this?
well, that's what I'm asking. What's the order? What are the order of operations? Like, because they're huh?
That'd be easier, and then you can bring this again anew.
So just replace this? Is that what we're saying? Just move to replace it with. Okay, I'm asking you all because.
I mean, I guess, yeah, it just depends, right? And
Right, what we want.
whether if it's even helpful, like for us to say that, because it seems like it might be redundant.
That's what I was asking originally, because yeah, we already have that.
Or the motion could, rather than entering into a loan, it could be less specific in saying we will use these funds, the TIF funds, for this specific project to leverage the $500,000. So it gives ambiguity, so Katie can still present, and then we can bring it back if it is going to be a loan situation.
Oh, okay.
That would be helpful because then we can still present in March
So
and then come back if it needs to be a loan. And then I'll have the answers of why it needs to be a loan.
Then we can just amend this.
Let's
Say that.
amend it.
Okay.
So
All right.
Can we have the motion to table removed?
I remove my support.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
So we can just amend this now, and then you can repeat what you said, so that we know what it's supposed to say.
City manager said it
Yeah,
best.
that's just it.
So, yeah. Is it because we moved it?
To support leverage, to support using the $300,000 capture as leverage for a $500,000 grant.
Yeah, so you don't have to, so it says grant and loan at the last whereas. You could just say the city has approximately said number in TIF capture from the development of Family Dollar, which can be used towards,
Leveraging.
The DABC.
used to leverage $500,000 in grant funding available.
Is there a motion?
So move. Oh, chicken. Yeah.
Oh, I need to know who said, you said it first. Councilmember King moved it.
Councilmember
Or
Tucson
Simmons and Tucson, I don't know, support, everybody support it. Let's,
Yes.
everybody support it. Okay, so we know what the amendment is, I hope.
Leverage instead of applying for a loan. Okay.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Mayor Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Fellows,
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson.
Yes.
The amendment carries.
Okay, so now we're on the amended resolution. Further discussion. All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fellows,
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
The amended motion carries.
Thank you. That was,
Thanks.
you
I appreciate
got
that.
to the
guys.
right end.
We did. We
okay?
got there.
Still get to
It just took
present.
us a little while.
It
Thank
took
you
us a
guys. I
second.
appreciate it.
It's because that language took me aback too. I'm like, I don't understand this.
Yep.
But okay. All right. Councilmember King, you have 056.
Whereas the city of Ypsilanti is committed to maintaining and enhancing public parks as vital community assets that promote health, recreation, social connection, safe, clean, and accessible public restrooms are a fundamental component of functional and welcoming public spaces. And whereas the existing restroom facilities in Riverside Park and Park Ridge Park are in need of significant rehabilitation, and the city may draw upon a combination of Fund 205 and CDBG funds, including $1 million in CDBG funds designated for a Park Ridge Community Center roof and restroom, a Riverside Park restroom, and a Prospect Park pathway to cover eligible capital improvement costs. And whereas in June 2025, the City Council adopted a resolution aligning public safety millage funds with the equity and community health priorities, explicitly supporting alternative public safety initiatives, including reopening public restrooms, and whereas investing in high-quality, durable, and inclusive restroom facilities reflect the city's commitment to creating public spaces for everyone and advances these alternative public safety initiatives as reflected in the 2026 council priorities. Now, therefore, be resolved that the city of Ypsilanti appropriates $300,000 from Fund 205 in combination with available CDBG funds to rehabilitate the public restrooms at Riverside Park, Park Ridge Park, and Prospect Park. Be it further resolved that the city of Ypsilanti or designee is directed to issue a request for proposals for design services for the rehabilitation of these facilities to the greatest extent feasible. The design and construction shall incorporate high-quality, durable materials and fixtures for longevity and ease of maintenance. Comprehensive accessibility features meeting or exceeding ADA standards, family-friendly amenities, including baby changing stations in all restrooms, modern station features, including Bidget attachments or washlet-style seats, universal design principles to create a welcoming environment for all users. Be it finally resolved that the city administrator or designee shall develop a facility operating hours plan that balances public access and maintenance and public safety considerations. That plan shall include a rationale for open and closed hours and be presented to council for approval prior to construction completion. I so move.
Support.
By Councilmember King and supported by Councilmember Fellows. Thank you. Do you have anything for us?
Sure, I could just begin. So we have been doing some research on different ways we can address bathrooms and parks. And there is new technology now, which would be more of an installation than a rehabilitation. But there are certain bathrooms that are self-cleaning. They're made with incredibly durable material. They're made with graffiti prevention. And so we're looking at something that it would take less in staff time to maintain. It would, of course, take some, but we're looking for different options in order to provide these facilities. We do have some community development block grant funding. So we have around a little over $1 million, and 500,000 are recap funds, which have to be spent in Park Ridge. So that would go towards the roof as well as an installation of a prefabricated bathroom that is connected to plumbing. So it will be eligible for these funds. So with at least Park Ridge and Riverside, we kind of made some estimates, and with a little bit of a contingency, we would have $375,000 in both Park Ridge and Riverside Park for the installation of something similar to Urban Blue. We have to release a RFP for this, so we'll get different bids. Then around $180,000 for the Park Ridge roof, and then a sidewalk or path in Prospect Park. So that leaves us a little bit of breathing room with those things. And I believe Councilmember Fellows would like to expand that into Prospect Park. So this is where that $300 council will be directing us to program that into the budget. So during next fiscal year, we can move forward with the Prospect as well.
Before we get too far into this, just a question about like when we got in public comment about turning the water on in Candy Cane Park. Is that something that requires a capital investment?
Yes, that would require some capital.
Okay, so things that need to be fixed and
Yeah, the water fountain, there would definitely need to be some funding put into that.
okay. All right, I'm gonna chew on that for a second. Comments, questions?
Let's see, Steve.
Oh, Steve, Mayor Pro Tem, sorry.
You're muted, Steve.
You just talking?
There we go. How's that?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, Peter had messaged me earlier today about doing that. I recall last time that we did an assessment of the facilities for all the parks through the Park Commission. There was issues with the water line. I'm not sure if it was the water line or the sewage line, and there was a quote of like $10,000 to replace the line out to the pavilion that was there. So that being said, but I'm just curious as to why these particular facilities, and there's nothing in Ward 2 that has been added to this. Is it because we already have this funding available for these specific projects? We're diverting money from a pathway project to a bathroom. Is that correct?
No.
So there would still be the path in Prospect Park. There is certain funding that has to be used in Park Ridge, the $500,000 of the uncapped funds. So that would cover the installation of one of these facilities as well as the roof of the community center. And then another would go to Riverside Park. The thinking there is it's one of our most used parks. So we thought that it would be a good place to start. We definitely could review putting one in Candy Cane Park. But again, that would take some more investment into the plumbing there now.
Sure. I get the point of Riverside Park, and I know that there's money committed to both Prospect and Park Ridge. So I was just trying to clarify that. With the money for Park Ridge, is that for the center or for the park itself?
It is just for the Park Ridge area. So it has to be either used in that park or on the Park Ridge Community Center.
Okay, and so the roof is on the community center, not on the pavilion.
Correct.
And the bathrooms would be standalone outside of the community center.
Correct.
I was out in Olympia, Washington in the past couple of years, and they had installations of toilets, which I found interesting that they did get vandalized in downtown, and they wound up shutting them down. So I'll be curious to see how this works and how these plans are different than those. But
it's graffiti resistant. I guarantee that they'll get vandalized, but we should be more easily to clean them and remove the graffiti.
Yeah. Okay. I I don't want it to sound like I'm negative about this. I think this is great because we've been talking about this for quite some time. So, what I would like to see is some sort of plan for moving further with other facilities around the city too. I know this is dollars that are already available. So I'd like to continue this conversation with other facilities. So.
Sure, and it's something that council could program funding each fiscal year for and
Yep.
kind of move through the city.
Councilmember Simmons, I saw your hand, and then Councilmember King. And then Councilmember-
Yeah, I think I've like a comment or a question. One of the things I was just gonna say is just, as we see different kind of infrastructure projects come through and trying to make sure that we are kind of spreading them across the city, that's one of the reasons why I definitely support something in Prospect Park because a lot of the road projects, a lot of the other things are outside of like Ward 3 hasn't really have anything happening right now. Um, and so that was one thing is I think that we're always trying to like manage and making sure that we have things kind of spreading around the space. And I know we have a couple of major projects in Ward 2 right now. Um, and then I guess, so the question, so right now with this resolution that we're looking at is like, so thinking like, okay, the RFP process, whatever that process is, that would be both looking at whether we were trying to rehab our current spaces or seek one of these other kind of projects, like the Urban Blue or something like that. So like that would be the same process. So basically that this would be the same for whether we rehab what we have or seek another alternative. Is that correct?
So the RFP would just be for a prefabricated self-cleaning style facility,
Not open, but all right.
not to reopen what we already have. We're going to tap into our water lines, but it would not be to reopen the current structures.
So I asked that because I feel like, but by what I'm reading on here, that I don't know that that was the intention of the language within the resolution, which is, so that's why I was bringing it up because I don't know that that was clear. And on my conversations, I know with the folks that sponsored it with Councilmember Fellows and King, that was not their understanding, even though when I was reading it and from other conversations. So I just wanted to say that I don't know that that's clear about what that would be. And then I know too that when we are looking at our options, it'll be helpful just to have us to be able to look at the variations in terms of both upfront costs as well as maintenance costs and staff. And then the other thing is just thinking about, I know you said there'd be less staff time for upkeep. So that would mean that we would still have staff that would be doing cleanup in the spaces that's in addition to kind of the self-cleaning.
So the staff time would be, say if something's damaged and it needed to be replaced, that would come in there, but the actual cleaning that would not be required. From what I've looked at, you're saving around $25,000 a year annually for each facility and upkeep. So that's kind of what we're looking at, the prefabricated. Also, like I said, you have parts that they're made of materials that are difficult to destroy. So we would be able to keep them in usable life longer than if it was just a standalone redeveloped bathroom.
And then the last thing I'll just ask about this for now, which is just if we were to be looking for an alternative to what we currently have, what are ways that we could use that space for other things? So as an example, I know in the past, there's been different spaces where as we've been talking about for like resiliency, storage, things that might have access for different kind of needs or things like that. So the other thing would be like how we might use those spaces for city purposes as well.
Sure, yeah, I would see that as separate to this conversation. A lot of them aren't really structurally sound, but from what I understand from this resolution, it's essentially just allocating funds. So we have additional funding to go after another location in this list, Prospect Park.
Councilmember King?
So I guess I have a few questions. The one reason I supported this is because we have been talking about bathrooms since I've been on council, and I know that conversation has started years before I've been here. So I want to see bathrooms, but I had the same question Councilmember Simmons had. Is this just setting funds aside, and are we looking at rehabbing the current facility? What is the cost? Do we know what the cost to rehab those facilities versus getting Urban Blue to come in? Because one of my concerns with having a new infrastructure is where would we put it, especially in Park Ridge Park?
So it would just require a slab of cement, which is also heated. So these aren't huge structures, so it wouldn't take up that much room. It would just, they would be easier to maintain than refurbishing what we already have.
And so do we have a comparison of costs? That's what I would like to see, because while I want to support this, I really would want to see the comparison of costs. I don't understand how it can be completely self-cleaning. I did watch some of the videos on Urban Blue, but I'm still like, what happens with the top of the toilet seat? What happens with the doorknobs? What happens with the water faucet? Who cleans all those knobs? Because we know stuff like that in the bathroom also needs cleaning for safety measures.
So the toilets are self-cleaning after each use, and there would be some upkeep, but the majority of it, it's not going to be on our staff, which if we just redevelop our old facilities, that would be 100% on our staff.
And I know Bonnie gave us a presentation on all of the facilities that we do have already, with pictures and the cost that it would require to rehab them and reopen them. I don't remember what month, like how long ago that was, but I do know we have.
There was a discussion about bathrooms, and council was presented with what the costs were when they did the assessment in, I believe, 2018. And then it was basically adding an additional 30% for inflation and since that date. So, and that would be to redo all the bathrooms. Again, the funding there does not include upkeep, janitorial services or anything like that. So that would just be to redo them, and then it would just be
right. But so I guess I would just want to see that now, because this is a lot of money, and even though it would not provide the maintenance for everyday use of the bathrooms, who's going to restock toilet paper, or does that magically appear?
So again, as I said before, there will be some upkeep, but it's not as much as a regular bathroom would be.
And how much, I guess I just want to know, how much manpower does it take to upkeep bathrooms in the park?
Like I said, it would be $25,000 a year for each facility.
Mm-hmm.
And then the presentation we're talking about was from July of 2025, so I can re-forward that out to everybody if you want to look at that too in the meantime. Councilmember Fellows?
Yeah, I just want to also affirm this is just a resolution to appropriate funds, and it's not to sign off on a whole build design or contractor or anything like that. I do appreciate Councilmember Simmons uplifting the intent, the question of intent, because I haven't looked as much into Urban Blue, so I don't know, if that is the pathway of, just hiring. And I don't know what their model is, if there's some sort of like light subscription fee, like vendor lock-in situation, because I would be reticent to that sort of strategy and more supportive of just fully public if it is some sort of like privatized public amenity. So the intention with this wasn't to make all those decisions today. It was more to set aside funds and start that convo. And also, I'm just glad that these questions are being raised so we can give city manager our intent. My intent is to set aside the money and then to maybe have another discussion about like if we want to do different, I know because like a few different companies were talked about in our RFP, or if we want to open up the RFP to like a full rehab of our existing structures too. It sounds like that is not favored by staff right at this time, which also makes sense. There's good arguments for that. But yeah, I think just before it goes, I guess, to RFP, it would be good to know what strategies we're looking at.
Yeah, and by no means is this right now, are we locking into any certain thing? The biggest argument against redeveloping the bathrooms has always been the upkeep. How long will it be before they're unusable again? So that's always been a concern from council and staff since I've been with the city, which is why I was trying to think of other options that we could use to dispel those worries. But this resolution just allocates money. This locks us into nothing except the funding being there.
It does do the RFP part too, though. So I think it would be good to have one discussion, maybe like next agenda, where we can just see what we want in our RFP. And so maybe there's some time for us to look at Urban Blue and some other models to see which direction we want to go in. I just want to do one final comment about, public amenities. I think we've become so used to in the US in general, but definitely in the Midwest, where we just don't expect to have anything nice and public. And so, it's like, well, when will the thing get destroyed? And then we give up on the public amenities again. And I do want to encourage us to try to move beyond this thinking. I mean, other places that I've been privileged to go to, which is mostly in East Asia, maybe it's a radical thought, but most of those bathrooms even have bathroom attendants, so that there's staffing at locations to keep them safe and clean. And I don't think this is it's very common in other places in the world, and I don't think that's something we would just never do here, because why not? We have a public that wants these facilities. We have money that we're setting aside to build them. We want to preserve them and keep them nice and keep them operable. And so we might think about strategies about staffing, and it would create more jobs in the city. So I see this as a good thing. And yeah, and if we're going to do this, I want it to be as high quality as possible. And that's why I mentioned things like washlets or bidets and stuff like that, because it's actually a feature that's common in other places in the world, and we should have these things too.
And if council would like to approve the RFP before we release it, that would be fine as well.
That would be great.
Councilmember Tucson, I saw your hand.
Yes, I'm in support of setting aside these funds, because like my fellow colleague council member said, we've been talking about, I'm sorry, my colleague has said we've been talking about opening up the bathrooms and or placing new restrooms for public use in the park for quite some time. And while I definitely can identify that we have more questions that we would like answered, I would just like to say that I support setting these dollars aside so we can make that step forward that we've been trying to make for all this time.
Yes, I agree. And I was just asking the questions because it was just unclear to me. And I wanted to make sure that we knew what we were like, what those expectations are and what we might have to follow up on. And then just the other question around as we look at these different options and we talk about the longevity, right? Like, okay, how long it might take, whatever options we're looking at, like what is their term for like their lifespan of these different places too? Like how long are they projected to last before they need to be upgraded or updated too? So as we look at those comparisons, that will be helpful as well.
Yeah, especially because a lot of these use so much technology. There's going to require something, right, to upgrade or, update with time if we use something that's external from our existing facilities. Do we need to then amend this clause here to say issue a request for proposal, after council approval or review?
Review, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, council can move that. There are specifics that community development block grant funds have to include in an RFP, but that would just be explained to council when we bring it forward.
Can someone make that motion?
I'll take that as a friendly upon review. Or do you take as a friendly too?
Yeah, I do.
All right, perfect. Thanks.
We're
So under the clause that says that the city manager or designee is directed to issue a request for proposal, we would add upon review of council.
On review and approval.
Oh, and approval of council. Or design services. All right.
I guess I just want to be clear. This is setting funds aside, but we still are going to be looking at not repairing the actual infrastructure we already have, correct?
I mean, if that's council's direction that they want to, that the council wants to just try to redevelop the bathrooms or have RFPs for both of them, that's up to council.
So this is literally just setting the money aside. It's not saying what the direction has to be. This just gave us options for what it could be, I guess, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like we want to see options from
Yeah.
staff.
And then I'm just wondering, does this amount also include the OCED funding?
No, we already have those funds.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Further discussion or question? All right, please call the roll.
Councilmember King,
Yeah.
Mayor Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Fellows,
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Councilmember King, you have 057 as well.
Whereas Ypsilanti Township completed a transportation analysis of the M17 Ecorse Road corridor from West Michigan Avenue to US 12T intersection east of South Ford Boulevard, evaluating safe traffic operations and future conditions. And whereas the study recommends a 3-lane cross-section, 1 lane in each direction with a center turn lane, shared use paths, amenity zones, and select raised medians to improve safety and multimodal access. And whereas the study shares the elements of the city's complete streets ordinance, and whereas Ecorse Road is a shared commercial corridor serving residents and businesses in both City of Ypsilanti and Ypsilanti Township, now therefore be resolved that the City Council of the City of Ypsilanti hereby supports Ypsilanti Township's recommended improvements for Ecorse Road M17 corridor and commits to continued coordination with the township, MDOT, and funding partners to advance implementation. I so move.
Moved by Councilmember King, supported by Councilmember Tucson. Hello.
Good evening, council. So we were approached by Ypsilanti Township, and I have learned from Director Wessler that this is probably decades in the making. We all know Ecorse Road is way too big and it needs to be dieted. They're not asking for any funds. They're looking for us to support their project and to be an active stakeholder in it because there is a very small sliver of the city, probably about 5 blocks that really this does impact. The majority of it does go into the township. They are working on getting their study approved, so that's why I don't have it to share. But I just know based on our complete streets ordinance and everything we've done in the city, we would like to see that road shrunk down to 3 lanes with amenity buffer zones and really make it a lot easier to travel and traverse for pedestrians, bicyclists, and cars.
Councilmember Fellows?
Yeah, I'm excited about this. Also, you just mentioned we don't have a plan in front of us because it's not approved by them yet.
When I got all this information, it was not approved yet. Once again, it's more of they gave me an executive summary that showed the cross section that we've all seen that has the 3 lanes of travel. But there will be a full presentation given to the community, I think next month. And we'll be part of that. You will get that when I have it.
Is it possible? Because that was the only question I had on this item, is that could we just wait until we have that presentation so we know what we're kind of supporting officially?
Yeah, right now it's just the idea of shrinking it down to 3 lanes and following our complete streets ordinance.
Is there any urgency around this though? Could we?
They would like to get this, and if we need to get more information, we can postpone this. The reason the township wants to have us is it helps them when going to funding partners. They don't have their funding in line. So this just shows that the city and the township are working together to get funding to do this. And so this is just this is a simple resolution to support. showcasing that the recommendation of the typical 3-lane cross section. I can bring that up. I can actually send it over to Tracy right now to show you, but it's not showing the details of the street in its entirety. It's just a basic cross section.
Yeah, I just want to be able to give my like full support to it by knowing what I'm voting on to officially support. And so if it's, I understand they're pursuing funding, but if we can get just a little bit more of that info for our purposes of voting, that would make me feel a lot more comfortable. Because yeah, I want to also be able to be a stakeholder in advocating for it, as well as I'm not sure what they're say in the plan, since it's not in front of us. I don't know if like changing the Michigan Avenue and E-course connection is within, and that is something that I'm very invested in that changing as well with the MDOT plan. So I just want to be able to see any of that before we vote on it.
We can hold off on this. Like I said, the reason this had some level of urgency was to get this in front of funding partners. There will be public meetings within the month to actually do that. I want, and I will communicate. I think just knowing that we don't not support it, it's more of a, more information, because I do think we all do support shrinking our roads and making them as good as we can based on what MDOT requires.
We just usually vote on things that we have some
I understand.
study and plans on.
Further discussion?
I did not have anything, but I guess I will just ask, do you know offhand, I know you don't have it and you said it's expected later. Will there be any changes? Was that something
Yes.
with the Michigan Ave?
So with I haven't seen that aspect of it.
Do you have any issue with just bringing it back like next?
No, I don't have any issue I just don't know if the plan will actually be approved for consumption at the next meeting. And so I can bring it back at another time. I think.
Well, my question is, you said that there was a sense of urgency from them. Can you say more about that? Like, are they submitting something next week, or is there legitimate timeline urgency, or is it just they?
Well, I mean, bring it back next. I can see if they have any direct. Like I said, I can see what their plan is for Michigan. I have not seen that yet. The reason why staff for one wanted to bring this is wanted to present that either this will be coming or to get the approval from council. But I mean, I can show you the one simple picture I have, which is kind of hard to see. It is, but I can. This is essentially what I have, which is something that we approve of. Like, it's not showing the intersection.
It is here where it is though.
No, this
right.
is shrinking it down, having the amenity buffers.
Come over here so we can
look
together.
It's a pretty picture. We don't know where it is.
So what's on the sides then?
The buffer zones?
The buffer zones, the amenity zones, the bike lanes. Like I said,
that might be separated. They're separated in some way.
So it's basically doing what we do with all of our Queen Streets West. But I can try to get more of that. Once again, they hadn't presented it to their city council, so it couldn't be given to me, or sorry, their township board. However,
We might not have more information at our next meeting. Is that?
we might not, and I can bring it back at another time to get the resolution support. I guess one thing I would like, and it doesn't have to be in a formal resolution, but does anyone have any concerns with shrinking down E-course and actually making more pedestrian connections for pedestrians and bikes and shared use path?
Conceptually, no. I think
Yes.
we're all in agreement.
Okay.
I think it would be cool to see a plan.
Oh, Mayor Pro Tem. Sorry. Hi.
Hi. Just wondering I mean, again, this is like a show of support, and I wonder if there's a change in the language that would allow this to pass to give them the idea that we support the general concept without committing. I mean, that we do that, but without the recommended improvements. If we haven't seen the recommended improvements, we can't really speak to that. But a resolution of general support for redoing E-course. Is that meaningful?
I think that's what they're looking for.
So do we amend it to not say we support the recommended improvements as we don't actually have them and say something more general than that?
That we want to be in partnership.
I mean,
What if you replace the words recommended improvements with Ypsilanti Township's efforts?
I think that would work. And if we have to come back for a formal full, like I said, the second I get the study, you will have it. This isn't a secret study. Their first step was to make sure the city was not completely against shrinking down a road in the city. That was their goal. I fully understand where you're coming from, Councilmember Fellows.
would saying their efforts for improvements satisfy folks to give them our support, but not?
I think it would, and if we need to have a more detailed resolution, come back before this for a very specific reason, it can.
I mean, it's up to council. Would anyone like to make that amendment?
Yeah. What was the amendment?
In the last clause where it says that the city of Ypsilanti hereby supports Ypsilanti Township's, I guess, efforts for improvements or efforts in general for the E-course road corridor, instead of it saying the recommended improvements, because we don't have them.
I think a bigger part is just committing to the continued coordination.
So how do we just say that?
Well, it's already in there, so you could just remove St. Township's efforts.
So remove
Yeah, I think removing recommended improvements and put efforts for the E-course corridor and commits to continued coordination.
Yeah. Okay. So just for putting effort. Can you?
So moved.
Yes. Oh, wait.
So moved by Councilmember Tucson. Wait, I don't know.
I support. Yeah.
Supported by Councilmember Simmons to remove recommended and put efforts.
Recommended, I'm sorry.
Remove recommended
And
improvements.
put efforts. Sorry. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Any comments or questions on the amendment? Please call the roll.
Mayor Brown, Councilmember Fellows,
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
The amendment carries.
On the amended resolution, any further?
We'll just guarantee you the second I have the full study, we will get it to you.
And what if we hate it?
Then we can pass another resolution saying, don't do this.
Okay,
But-
that's fine. I just in the future I wouldn't want to do this again.
Further comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Mayor Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Fellows,
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Councilmember Fellows, you have 058.
Resolved by this council of the city of Ypsilanti, whereas city council established a tenants' rights subcommittee in September 2025, and whereas city council has appointed tenants members and an IPSI-BIG representative, and whereas the planning commission and the sustainability commission have appointed one of their members to sit on the tenants' rights subcommittee as directed by city council, with the HRC still needing to appoint one of their members, and whereas for this committee to move forward and decide on an organizational structure, city council must appoint 2 council members to the tenants rights subcommittee. Now therefore be it resolved that the city council appoints 2 council members as voting members to the tenants rights subcommittee, and I so move.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilmember Fellows, supported by Councilmember Simmons. All right. Well, we know what we have to do. There you go.
I guess I'm just wondering who's all interested. Did I raise my hand first?
Councilmember Fellows.
Yeah, this is something I have been working on for a minute, and so I would love to work with the new appointees for the tenants rights subcommittee to bring about tenants rights and housing justice policies for the city, working with Randy and with the legal services of South Central Michigan. consultant as well. So it's going to be a project that I'm like hopeful that will improve some of our recourse abilities for, the vast majority of our residents in Ypsilanti.
Councilmember King, you had something you wanted to say?
No, I was just saying I didn't raise my hand before I had spoke initially.
Oh,
That's
it's
what I
okay.
was saying. But I am interested too, but I also wanted to see who else would be interested because I know it's only 2 seats. So I am interested on being on the Tenants Right Committee.
Okay. Anybody else interested?
Here's mine.
Are you interested?
I'm sorry. I mean, you know, I'm
it's-
interested in
it's-
everything, but I'm happy. I'm happy with Amber and Michelle.
As am I.
Right, I'm writing y'all down.
All right. Do we need to vote on this, or can we just
We gotta.
We have to.
Is it? Was it a resolution?
approve this and then
the nominees.
put the names in?
I'm putting them on here now.
Oh, all right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I'm like, who has? I didn't know who had the sheet. I'm like, okay. All right. Okay. So we will be voting on this with the names Councilmember Michelle King and Councilmember Amber Fellows. If any further discussion before we do that, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fellows,
Yes.
Mayor Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Councilmember 26059.
Yes, indeed. So resolution number 2026-059 resolved by the Council of the City of Ypsilanti, whereas City Council established an ad hoc Citizens Committee for Water Street redevelopment area in May 2025, and whereas City Council approved the process for this committee in December 2025, and whereas City Council appointed a slate of members at the February 17th meeting, and whereas for this committee to move forward with the process of assisting and developing community benefits for the Water Street redevelopment area, City Council must appoint 3 council members to the Ad hoc Citizens Committee for Water Street redevelopment area. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council appoints 3 council members as members to the Ad hoc Citizens Committee for the Water Street redevelopment area, and I so move.
Support by Councilmember Tucson, supported by Councilmember King and Simmons. I'm not sure. It's the same. All right. Councilmember King.
So with this one, it has to be 1 person from each ward. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So we already have, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she has the floor. Councilmember King.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we already got Steve, got Mayor Pro Tem, so that's Ward 2, so.
That's
2.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, being that I don't have a ward right now, but I mean, I am Ward 1, I would like to sit on this committee.
I'm also interested. So
And you already, that would be the team. And I already thought about all of this before because I definitely wanted to be on the Water Street Committee, but I know you expressed interest at the last meeting and before. And I guess I will just be content with that.
Mayor Pro Tem. I'm sorry, it's your face. Mayor Pro Tem.
Oh, I would just, if that is, I was going to suggest a slate, but I can't vote, so I,
should
and
I
that
just
slate would have
put, I just
been.
put a sound in? Or is that-
You were gonna say a slate?
We would love
Yeah,
to.
so what have we got so far? We've got the mayor, me, and Desiree.
Uh-huh.
I would support that.
Okay.
And we know what slate you would have supported or what slate you
Yeah, I'm like, what slate were you gonna put forward?
That's what I was going to put forward, so
Oh.
I'm totally happy with that.
Okay. That's funny. You're like, I have a slate. Oh, you came prepared with a
Just right.
slate.
I'm sorry. Should I be writing this down?
I don't know. Councilmember Fellows.
I'm supportive of moving forward with this. I do want to say, this was a big project with a lot of collaboration between staff and council and community, and I really appreciate everything that went into it. I did feel a strong attachment to this as sort of my baby, but also I have to believe in, the structure of it and the work will be done well by my colleagues. And I'm excited to see what comes from this committee. And I do encourage, the public and council members to engage, even if you're not a sitting member. And to that, I would say I am interested in working with staff on developing like agenda setting for the first meeting. Because I saw with the public participation meeting that there was some like incongruencies with how the legislation is actually laid out and how it was like how it came to be as a meeting. There was confusion there, and so as someone that's like was a part of writing this legislation as well as being a part of READY and the community benefits ordinance and knowing those things very well, I would like to help to make this go smoothly. And so I'm putting that there, that I support other people carrying on as sitting members of the committee, but I do want to be involved with at least that first agenda setting.
Thank you. Further comments or any questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
I think we have to name the names.
Oh,
Were they
seated.
named?
Well, Mayor Pro Tem Steve Wilcoxon, Councilmember Desiree Simmons, and myself.
Councilmember Tucson,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember King,
Yes.
Mayor Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Fellows.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Councilmember Fellows, you have 060. I'm gonna skip that one. Sorry.
Resolved by the Council of the City of Ypsilanti, whereas at the December 2nd, 2025 dangerous buildings hearing, the DPH officer determined that the properties located at 558 Madison Street, 539 Huron Street, 601 East Michigan, and 1032 Watling Boulevard will be brought into compliance with our building codes and be made safe or torn down within 60 days. And whereas the dangerous buildings hearing officer has informed the administration that none of the 4 properties complied with either aspect of that judgment. And whereas next, City Council must schedule a hearing on the findings and the order of the hearing officer and shall give notice to all interested parties. And whereas at this hearing, interested parties will be given the opportunity to show cause why the order should not be enforced. And whereas City Council may approve the hearing officer's order, disapprove the order, or modify the order, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council hereby calls the special meeting and sets a specific date for a hearing on the findings and order of the hearing officer for the properties located at 558 Madison Street, 539 South Huron Street, 601 East Michigan, and 1032 Watling Boulevard. Also directing the city clerk to give notice to all interested parties, and I so move.
Sorry. By Councilmember Fellows, supported by Councilmember King.
So this is essentially, and Randy might be able to speak better to this than I can, but the dangerous buildings officer has made determinations on these property. And then this would essentially act as the appeal process.
Mm.
It'll just take some time, so need a standalone meeting to complete it.
If I may, we haven't done this in like over 15 years, so it's kind of new for most everyone in the administration. But this is the respondents' opportunity to have their to be heard a second time, and we just have to pick a date that works for everyone here, and then I will put together an agenda for you that will have all of the backup documentation. I'm required by the statute to notify the respondents, and we have to give them 2 weeks' notice. I have to send it by registered mail, and then we have to post something on the building as well. So you just need to pick something that's at least 2 weeks out.
And so do we need to pick this date right now before we pass this resolution?
Yes.
Yes.
And I have calendars.
Mayor Pro Tem, hi. Sorry. Did you have something to say, or your hand was still up from last time?
No, I did have something to say. I just wanted to comment that, I would suggest that we do it on an off Tuesday. So people don't have to rearrange their schedules, but also that, I've consulted with Fen, who gave public comment about a project that was before the dangerous buildings hearing, and knowing the extent that staff and Chuck Boltman had worked with that group to get that building through. I would say that it takes a lot to get to the point where they rule against them. They've been very generous in terms of trying to work with folks to get their buildings where they need to be. So if these folks haven't gotten there, then that to me says that there's been a lot already pursued. So
Councilmember King?
The one question that I kind of have is, I know it's another home on Madison that I don't have the address in front of me right now. And I guess I was just wondering if that one potentially could be added, because I know I have had a lot of correspondence about this home in the past. I can look up the address real quick.
City Clerk, you were.
It couldn't be added to this because
Okay.
there's a whole process that they've had to go through, and they've already had a hearing in front of the Dangerous Buildings Board. You could, however, talk to the building department and see where the status is of that location.
Okay.
Maybe, efforts can be taken in the future.
So we need to be picking a date that's at least 2 weeks out so that they have time to be noticed. And then I also agree if it could be an off Tuesday, that would be amazing.
So the 24th
Or the 31st.
or the 31st?
24th or the 31st. 31st is better. What about you?
I'll be gone the 24th, but I don't have to be there.
So the 31st. Oh, you're like, you don't even care about being there for that. You're like, it's boring. Yes.
I won't be here the 31st, but I don't actually need to.
You can take a day. I'm kidding. Okay. 24th. So you won't be here the 31st.
But
You won't be
there's
here
really
the
no reason.
But you don't need to be here because Randy will be here.
I don't live that far. I'm okay.
All right. So far the 31st is working. Does the 31st work for you?
I think either day works.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem, does the 31st work for you?
it does.
Okay.
Will it be?
Councilmember Simmons, yeah.
Either day works for me.
Does the 31st work for you, Councilmember Simmons? Ooh, you feel like I don't know.
Yes, I think that.
Okay. Councilmember King?
Does it have to be an evening meeting? I'm just wondering. I mean, I know in the past.
To come here.
Say it again.
You gonna take off work, come?
I would prefer it be an evening meeting because I get off from my overnight shift.
Okay.
Yeah.
We understand. It's gonna be an evening meeting, I'm sure.
Could do 6 if that's better.
A little earlier, does that work for you? 6 p.m. if we.
I only ask that because y'all know in the past, people have come and asked us to alternate meetings, even in the morning. And we had a special meeting before in the morning. And because it's going to be quick, I assume.
Well, but our special meeting was with us. It wasn't with invited guests, right? Like,
Okay.
Because they may have, other commitments during the day as well.
6 o'clock works for me. All right, I'm putting.
All right, 6 p.m. March 31st. The last day of the best month of the year.
Is it?
Yeah.
January is the best.
We ain't gonna do that right now. We don't gotta do that right now. All right. Is that the only thing we have to decide?
Yes.
For a national holiday.
All right. Please call the roll. I know his birthday.
Councilmember Simmons.
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Fellows.
Yes.
Councilmember Tucson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. See y'all on March 31st. Okay. And then Councilmember Simmons, you have our final resolution. 062 938. Don't even talk about it. Don't even talk about it.
This down. Let me not.
22
Okay.
We can do it.
It resolved by the Council of the City of Ypsilanti that after hearing the presentations and considering the FOIA requests and the denial notices and considering the FOIA Act and the acts and circumstances of the matter, it is hereby resolved that
Something wrong with it?
no, it's an either or thing. Just I have to.
Yeah.
It's essentially a FOIA appeal that has its own problems in the manner in which it was presented to the city. Nevertheless, the appeal determination, what council would be doing today is receiving the appeal. It wouldn't be deciding upon the appeal.
Do I have to pick one of these to read this into the record?
You would not, because you would essentially receive these appeal documents today, and then you would deliberate on that under our rules. You would deliberate on that on 3/17.
So then should we just amend this, like replace this to say it is hereby resolved that city council receives this repeal request?
You would essentially, you wouldn't even decide on that today. You would essentially
So should
take
we
the,
not
You
read
can
this
read this into the
resolution?
record.
right.
This should just be like like you're presenting to us today for us to deliberate on this at a subsequent meeting.
The next one,
Take it out.
which is 10 days under the rule.
So then this is like a discussion.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
No, it's okay. All right, so
Essentially, this is,
it's okay.
there were a series of FOIA requests that were submitted to the city in the early to middle part of January. And they were submitted on behalf, expressly submitted on behalf of a person who is engaged in litigation with the city. So under Freedom of Information Act, there are numerous exemptions. The principal exemption that was asserted to each of those was the pending litigation exemption, which is for very good reason. It requires litigants to obtain information from their opposition through the discovery process and avoid abuses of the discovery process by utilizing the Freedom of Information Act to circumvent those court rules. And so essentially what we did is we responded to those by saying we assert this exemption because of the pending litigation in which the requester and the city are parties. We also asserted principally the privacy exemption because, naturally there was information sought that could disclose personal protected information regarding individuals who are employed with or who were employed with the city or who were contracting with the city for various services. And so what happened is we received this appeal roughly a couple of weeks ago. We received it from the attorney, claiming that the attorney was the original requester, which is not the case. So essentially we have that procedural defect of you can't appeal on your own behalf a request that was made and decided upon in terms of granting or denial for someone else. So first issue is the appellant is not the requester. The second procedural issue is both the statute and the city's practices require that an appeal come to the designated head of the public body for these purposes. This came to me. I'm not that person. The city's policy designates the city clerk as that person. And so we have that other procedural quandary there. Nevertheless, in the interest of taking the high road, being transparent and all those things that the spirit of FOIA imposes upon all of us, I've placed these matters before council today just so it can receive that appeal. So as part of its materials, it has the appeal, it has the original request, and it also has the follow-up communication that I sent to the attorney on Friday, in which I basically articulated that based on the submission, I've reconsidered certain things and we would grant with some limitations the first set of requests, but continue to deny that last one, which is 2631, because those particular requests, which have three parts to them that I've outlined to you, specifically are designated in the litigation and in the disclosure materials exchanged in the context of that litigation to be relevant to that litigation. And so the other ones were declared by that individual to not be relevant to that litigation. So we're going to go ahead and produce that information subject to the privacy exemption so that no personal information is being disclosed. But this one goes directly to the matters in dispute in that particular litigation matter. The requester was the litigant. And so that is the basis upon which I denied the request.
So you denied the request. They have now appealed it.
Well, somebody else has appealed.
Well, that's leading to me to a question. You're the attorney. I'm not. So if the person who originally requested is not who requested the appeal, this coming to us tonight then is in good, like, how does that work?
Yes. It's not properly before council, but we're covering that basis, just to essentially take the high road.
So
we're not waiving any argument that appeal isn't properly before council. It wasn't properly laid. Certainly, you have to be a requester in order to be an appellant, and this person is not the former. He is merely the latter.
Even if it's their legal representation, that is like, is that documented somewhere that says that?
Yes. So it's the request was expressly made for and on behalf of the plaintiff in that case, but the appeal is solely on behalf of the lawyer, and it's perhaps because they realize the legal nuance associated with that, and did this as kind of a knee jerk. But that's an issue for a later day. The issue here is we can assume, only for the sake of discussion, that it's been submitted to you. Happy to answer any questions about it, and then council can deliberate on the matter at the next council meeting to comply with the 10 business day rule. I understand.
But if we're saying that it was submitted inappropriately, should it be before us?
That can be part of the body's deliberation and determination in 2 weeks.
If we're okay, then we deliberate on the resolution that was here that we're not actually voting on.
Correct.
Got you. Okay.
Oh, and you said 10 business days, so it doesn't count the weekend.
Right. So 10 business days would be the next council meeting on 3/17.
No, we get 10 business days, and that day would be the day we have to make a decision.
Yes.
Okay. And so back to my original question then, since we are right now discussing it in good faith that it was brought forward, this is an appeal to your denial.
Correct.
And that is to get the additional information that you deemed inappropriate to release because of the litigation in process.
Yes, there's a specific litigation exemption under the Freedom of Information Act. That is MCL 15.243(1) subsection V, as in Victor. And it specifically says a public body may exempt from disclosure any public records or information relating to a civil action in which the requesting party and the public body are parties. So that squarely falls into play here, in my view, because the materials that were requested in that particular request, which is the only request that remains at issue, were disclosed by the plaintiff to be material to that litigation and likewise subject to the complaint.
And I read your email a lot of times to make sure I understood. So I'm asking the questions out loud for clarity for others who may have had similar questions, because I was like, oh, why are we talking about it if it doesn't?
Now I have vanity and authorship that somebody read something I wrote more than
I did. I read it multiple times just to make, because it's a lot of legalese in here. you know.
I tried to be less.
Yeah, it's okay. All right, further questions? Those are all for me right now. Councilman King?
I guess just piggybacking on what you said, I know you said our response can be that it is, but why would we make that decision? Like, why couldn't you just respond and say,
Is it
Well, I have, but you're the appeal body over my decisions. So that's the role of council under council's practices. That's the role of council under the statute.
Okay. Further discussion? We're discussing it now and then making a decision in 10 days.
I think technically because of the way it's been laid on the table with the agenda, I think what would be appropriate, I think just to zip it up would be just to table it until 3/17.
It wasn't actually laid on the table. She never finished. But
Okay.
It's not, yeah, it's a
yeah, it was.
That's true too.
Yeah, it was never laid on the table fully. So we can bring this back on the next agenda.
Correct.
It wasn't read into the.
I guess the only question I have is that, is it then, does the procedure that's laid out make it impossible for someone to make this appeal properly then? Is that what you're kind of indicating at? No.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that the appellant and the original requester didn't follow the rules.
I see. Okay.
At least my view is that.
Discussion. Okay. Well, we have, it's a really good email if y'all want to read that. That we got with information about it. And then I guess this will come back at our next meeting. Mayor Pro Tem, do you have anything? Yep.
No, I did read the email and I understood it. I don't think there's many options for the appellant, but I just wanted to say that I'm going to sign off. My viral laden brain is turning into a pumpkin. So thank you all for the work that you're doing. And I will see you next time.
Feel better. Okay. All right. Well, then we'll close that discussion and we'll look for this resolution to come back next meeting. It's 9:51. We're at liaison reports, so
I move to extend to 10:15.
Support.
10:15.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nobody wants to be an auctioneer?
All right. Police Advisory Commission.
I missed the last meeting, so I will review that video and come back with a double report on after our next meeting, March 26th at 7 p.m. here in Council Chamber. That's all I got.
HRC?
HRC was canceled again due to lack of quorum. We are working on choosing a different date and or time so we can all meet. Yes.
Arts and Art? All right. I was just looking. I'm like, that's Steve. Okay. Sustainability.
Our next meeting is on Monday. I will say too, I've been having a hard time making this meeting. But one of the things I'll try to do, I connect with the chair on email, so I'll try to get updates from her to share back for meetings I can't come to.
Our liaisons for the next 3 are not here. I don't know if there's anything anybody knows about Planning Commission that's important or ZBA. Okay. All right, liaison reports. Councilmember Tucson. No, I'm wrong. Sorry, that's not true. Semcog, not here. Watts, my bad. I skipped everything after that. Watts.
Yeah, the Watts had a meeting a couple weeks ago, but I wasn't able to attend.
Urban County, I don't have anything to report. DDA, you heard folks talking about parking lots, so just get prepared for more talk about parking lots. The pool, Steve is not here. All right, Councilmember Tucson.
Yes, I would like to give a huge shout out to Justin Harper and all of the individuals who are involved with the CLR team. I went to the event this past Saturday. Unfortunately, I was only able to make it to the ending part of it where they had the documentary about the mobile African American History Museum, and it was just beautiful. Everybody that participates in the CLR team, they got like a uh, recognition, and it was just beautiful to see all the kids there and just everybody just coming and just having fun and learning about all the things that the mobile African American History Museum had to offer. So I would like to give a big shout out to all those folks. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember King.
Okay, I have a few things. One, I recently was able to attend the State of the State, and it made me wonder, have we ever done a State of the City? I spoke with Mayor Brown about this and asked if she was interested. She stated yes. And being that we just did our budget priorities and everything, I think it's the perfect time for us to try to plan this year. So that's one. Two, happy Women's History Month. I will be having a listening session at Park Ridge on March the 12th. Councilmember Tucson will be there as well from 6 to 7:15. And I did have a question on the shop that was closed over here on Washtenaw. I was just wondering, when was that closure made?
Washington.
Washington, yes.
It was mid-February.
Say a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Plus or minus.
February 16th. It was somewhere around then. Mid-February. So like 2 weeks ago.
And I only ask this because I didn't get any notification of that. I understand it's not in my ward, but I also think it's important that council members are kept up to date on things that are happening in the community, because the phone call that I got, it came from Channel 7 News. And when I got that phone call, I didn't know what he was talking about. So for me, it didn't put me in a place to represent the city well. So I would like to know that information, and I would also like to know what is the process for us to get information, because many times as I've sat here, I have received information after the public, and I think part of me being here, I should be receiving that information in advance.
I will say I saw that on Facebook.
Mhm.
I saw the news article was posted on Facebook, and that's how I knew that it actually happened. I knew that there had been reports about the store, but the actual raid and closure, I found it out on Facebook.
And again, I don't want to beat this down. I don't want to beat this conversation down, but I do want to say how important it is, because many times people make judgment about me in particular. I know other council members as well, about not knowing how to do our job. This affects our performance. So I did want to bring that up. I also want to just say I made it to so many events last month, and I really enjoyed celebrating Black History Month. And I look forward to even maybe the city of Ypsilanti doing an event in the future.
Thank you. Councilmember Fellows?
Yes, I just want to thanks to the public for staying this late with us, and I also want to uplift that this is one of our earlier meetings in a long time, and that's great. So hopefully we can keep that going. I was able to attend iftar this past weekend, hosted by Rima and others. Probably 200 people in attendance. Rashida Tlaib spoke. It was a wonderful event, and I look forward to more events over Ramadan. I do want to mention to council that I am hopefully reopening the community benefits ordinance discussion, because we got pretty far and then over the winter kind of dropped off. So I want to bring that before council soon, as well as maybe talk about like lawn ordinance, since that's seasonal. I did hear word that the Ipsy Big Ballot initiatives, some folks got to talk to Tracy about it, and that would be coming before us soon. And then I also heard that there would be a report coming from the YPD, potentially about things that happened related to the siege and surrounding events. And so I look forward to that as well. And I did ask the city manager if we can get the new fire department policy in our next packet so that the public can see it.
Thank you. Councilmember Sims?
Yes. I also was going to bring this up, but just to say that we got an email saying that the police chief is still working on that report and we'll be sharing that with council. Do we have a sense of timing for that? The email, I don't think said that.
Within the next couple weeks or so, I could give council an update if it takes longer.
All right, thank you. I did want to ask about, the things with the parking. I know this question, I feel like it kind of happens on a cycle almost, these kind of conversations, and I wasn't sure so one, I'm thinking if it's like just how many spots? It's like just the ones in front of the shops they're talking about. No, I mean, I know they don't want us to, this is such a challenge because everywhere I go across the state of Michigan, pay for parking. And I don't know. I feel like we have just as many amenities in our shops and our restaurants as Ann Arbor. In fact, I try not to go to Ann Arbor because I'd rather stay here and go to our spots. So, but and our parking is cheaper than Ann Arbor. But I don't know that people don't go to Ann Arbor because of parking. It's always packed too. Um, so so I just have a challenge, and so I'm trying to understand too kind of these like trade-offs around it. And I know that we've had some information about how much we bring in from parking versus how much it costs in terms of staffing in the past. But this kind of breakdown in terms of by location. So it's like, do the businesses downtown, are they better able to sustain having parking than ones in Depot Town? Like, are there differences between a business that would open in Depot Town or a business that would open downtown or a business that would open on West Cross? Those are our three business districts. And so to me, I just wonder how we could pick and choose one business district over another business district. So I feel like I'm just trying to think about how to put forward how we can make some decisions and or clarifications around this on a future agenda, because so we can kind of get ahead. I know that people have been talking about the different parking lots, but right now I'm just going to focus just on the street parking as that's what's coming forward to us now. One of the public commenters gave a figure of $60,000. So that's something where it would be great to get verification about, is that accurate, and what that actually really means for us. I definitely understand thinking about the coming challenge in terms of street closure. And so to me, that feels like a little bit different though, because that could be a specific time sensitive thing. Like during this time, X, Y, and Z, because whatever, which is different from saying in time in perpetuity, we would do X. So anyway, so I would like us to think about that, and if that's something we can have come forward so we can.
I can talk about that during my stuff too, what's coming from the.
Okay, perfect. So anyway, so that was one thing I wanted to bring up. I also wanted to just say that maybe this was like longer ago. But council member Fellows and I did host the town hall, and there were just a couple of things just I wanted to that kind of came up from that, or questions. One that has come forward, or there's already been a request, which is whether so one of the things that we had asked was the community, what are some things that maybe the city could do that you would like the city to do in support of our community members, especially around ICE activity. And so one of the things that folks said was that there's a need for space for community to gather and plan to resist ICE and to support neighbors, and thinking about how we could do that. And so I had a request, for instance, for space. They were requesting space at the Freight House for a training. And so I was explaining to them kind of by when it came to me, like just like the timeline and process, that would be kind of tight. And so I was wondering about but so this is a question around, you know, what that could look like. And I was thinking about, well, different spaces. So like, for instance, this space, which isn't a monetized space, whether there could be a different process. So I guess this is a question for staff around that, around thinking about if this is something that we could explore and figure out for a community around space use. And then another one that came forward was around thinking about or putting forward a desire for ICE and CBP agents to be prosecuted for breaking laws when they break laws in their kidnappings. And so I'll just say I had a chance to speak with the assistant prosecutor, Victoria Burton Harris, about this. And so what she said is, one, the prosecutor has already put forward that a policy, a statement that he would prosecute things that come to him. And she also then explained to me the process for how things would get to that point, which would include our police or the sheriff, you know, a police body to arrest them, investigate, and then to put forward charges. And so there's many steps there. And so, but it does seem like that there would be something that we would need our police department in particular to do. She also did say that, you know, community can make reports, of course, can submit like, here's a report with our information that we have, whether it be pictures, videos, things like that. So I wanted to share that. We've also gotten some information. I know a lot of us have posted it on our Facebook pages, at least, around offering of no-cost tax preparation, as I know we're in the season. Yeah, because I need to get on that too. And so just that EMU is a tax site. They have dates from the 31st through April 11th, Saturdays 12 to 4 p.m. It does say appointments are necessary, but there's also other ones outside of that. United Way on Platte has hours, as well as this other one's in Manchester, so that's probably not as relevant for folks here. And then I wanted to bring forward just some information. This has been a tab that has been open on my laptop for months. And now I get to close it because we actually have time. So this was something I wanted to bring forward for council proposed business some time ago, but it was a while when we weren't able to get to council proposed business. This was a presentation that I was able to hear about some research that Vera Action had done. And they were specifically looking at some information, polling voters and things like that around some conversations around crime. And so it feels also timely with today, some of the things that have come up. And some things that they found were really that overall people aren't so interested in what is considered tough on crime, but instead are more focused on serious about safety. And so just a couple of things from there that I thought were interesting. That 60% of the folks that they had responses from said that we should fully fund things that are proven to create safe communities, like good schools, jobs, affordable housing, and prevent crime by increasing treatment for mental health and drug addiction, and by getting illegal guns off the street. Also, 74% said that these issues are best addressed by my local government funding services like housing, mental health care, and drug treatment to help people recover and get back on their feet. Police should be involved where necessary for public safety, but should not be the primary response. And when looking at there was a list of kind of just like specific things where that was in general high support. One is better, more accountable policing, where we build community trust and accountability. 2, ending the overdose epidemic, increasing treatment, overdose prevention centers, fentanyl test strips and Narcan readily available. As we know, we also have opportunities here for drug testing, things like that. 3, supporting strong mental health and de-escalating crisis, mobile crisis response, things like that, 911, mental health calls, things of that sort. 4, tackling gun violence, expanding community violence intervention and trauma recovery centers. 5, safekeeping our streets and quality of life. Invest in placemaking, expanding neighborhood ambassadors, or, here we might think of different associations or different neighborhood groups, in ways that neighborhood groups are coming together, which improves quality of life for all of us. And then number 6, having a fairer, more accountable justice system. So invest in alternatives to incarceration, protecting common sense reforms. So I just wanted to share some of that as we're kind of thinking about things, and just stating that I very clearly am serious about safety, just as a starting point. That's it. Thank you.
Move to extend to 10:25. I mean, so y'all can go. It's 10:10.
Motion.
Mine can just be an email. I don't need to go.
I could make it happen for it.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Okay. So I was just gonna first the parking, so I'll be brief about that and we can talk about it at a different time too. But what's been coming up is just coming up with ideas to also present to us around what could be mechanisms to fulfill the expectations that folks have around the issues that parking is providing in the different districts. One of them being an explanation of how do folks expect for these lots and to be maintained if we don't have a revenue stream to do so, and so what kind of partnership could potentially look like. So again, this has not come formally; it's just been discussion at the DDA level. Because that's a request that is being made. And then I've gotten a number of emails about parking. I don't know where the miscommunication may have come in, that there may have been something on the agenda tonight about parking, but I did receive a notice that folks were telling people to email me about parking for tonight's meeting, but there was nothing that was on our agenda for that. So I'm not exactly sure where that came from, but but we can always talk about parking. I can talk about that later. For those who have not submitted your performance evaluations for our city clerk and city manager, please submit those to me. I know I've gotten some communication from folks who plan to submit them, and then to our Councilmember Simmons and Councilmember Tucson, thank you. I received those. I was able to attend a bunch of community events, of course, but one of them being a postponed event called the Beloved Community from MLK Day that got postponed because of the severe cold in January to this month. And so got to talk and network with a bunch of community members and organizations about their vision for a beloved community and for beloved Ypsilanti, and that was really rewarding. And the plan is for the president's office to partner with us to continue having some of those discussions throughout the year and not have it be a one and done opportunity, especially because it was postponed. I think a lot of people may not have remembered or not known the date that it was postponed to, but it was very cool. Park Ridge had their Black History Month program. It was wonderful. Of course, the grand reopening of the senior center was great. I was able to be the keynote at the Girl Scouts Empower Her conference, not this weekend, but the weekend before. Very cool. Created, put together, executed all by the young women who are members of the Girl Scouts from our local troop, and they invited troop members from across the region to come out, and that was very cool to watch, like 10 to 13-year-olds planning an entire conference. 2 cohorts for the younger folk, and then for the teens later in the afternoon. So that was wonderful. I was able to sit for an interview for the Road Home documentary about housing in Washtenaw County. And so, I'm not exactly sure when it's supposed to be complete, but it's basically a continuation from the group Cameron, but I can't remember the name, is Braco. Thank you. When they did their documentary on the west side of Ann Arbor. And so they will be like premiering the documentary and having a whole rollout for that. So we can look forward to that. And there have been a lot of stakeholders and folks who have been interviewed for that. And then, yeah, happy Social Work Month, happy Women's History Month. And then in terms of the state of the city, I'm going to ask city managers some questions about that. I don't have to do it here, but just to talk about like, could that come out of our council budget to try to rent a space that's big enough to, have people if we wanted to plan that and bring it to council to approve that, of course, to expend those funds and yada, yada, yada. But I'll ask you about that offline. We can talk about it when it comes to the agenda. We can.
And potentially if something could come soon, even at the next meeting, if
I
possible.
want us to talk about it. and
Okay.
then- yeah. Anyway, that's all for me. City manager,
I'll just send mine an email. That's fine.
city clerk.
I just wanted to say that the Secretary of State is once again having an I voted sticker contest. I have the applications. Anybody in the neighborhood wants one, we're going to put them up on the website, but you can also go to the Secretary of State's website.
Parks and Arts annual report is in the packet. All right, the meeting's adjourned. It's 10:15.
And 14.
Did it. I had so many more things to say, but